Welcome to the session on space inside Cluster 4 of Horizon Europe. This is a session that will describe the topics that we have under the destination that we call Destination Space. It's a very long title, so we shorten it to space. My name is Mats Ljungqvist. I work in DG Defense Industries and Space, and I'm here with a number of colleagues. I will co-moderate the session with Francesco Barbato and of the same DG. And there will be a number of colleagues who are responsible for the various topics this afternoon. So the way the session will run is the following. I will start with a short overview, relatively short overview of the space program, space research program on Horizon Europe, some general aspects, and quickly run through the main topics that we address. Then, as you probably know, the presentations have already been put online yesterday, and some of you might have already seen those presentations in form of videos. Now, however, since this is a bit new and they were put online only yesterday, we prefer to show the same presentations here in this session, and we have time to do it. After each, so we'll be dividing the day into 4 different sub-sessions, so to say, where a number of videos will be played. And then we will have a about 15-minute long question and answer session after each group of videos to address issues and questions and comments that you might have as a result of that. And we will manage the questions through Slido, and you have seen the link on the website. You can type your questions there, and we will moderate this discussion through Slido, and we will provide oral answers, of course. Okay, so let me get on with the presentation. We are, as you probably know then already by now, inside the cluster on digital industry and space, where there are 6 so-called destinations, one of them being related to space. And to give the full picture, to give the full picture of Horizon Europe, I will not go into detail, you probably have seen it, but the specific program implementing Horizon Europe is split into 3 pillars: excellent science, the global challenges, industrial competitiveness in pillar 2, and pillar 3, innovative Europe, with the European Innovation Council and other areas. So there is basic research, more or less, it's applied research, and then we have the support to entrepreneurship. Inside pillar 2, there are a number of clusters, and we have a cluster on digital industry and space, as I just mentioned, where we are together with a lot of activities, as you see in the blue square: manufacturing technologies, key digital technologies, materials, enabling technologies, AI, robotics, next generation internet, advanced computing and big data, circular industry, low carbon and clean industries, and space. And then you immediately realize that there is a lot of synergies and a lot of common interests in this cluster. For space, we rely, of course, on key digital technologies, manufacturing and materials, and so on, in AI and robotics. But some of these topics are, of course, found then in other destinations in the work program, as you will have seen. So it's very important to look around in the work program, not just addressing yourself to the space destination. Of course, in addition to that, we have the European Defence Fund and the Euratom activities and so on. There are other programs outside as well that we will come to. Outside Horizon Europe, typically Invest EU is very important, but the next one I will talk a little bit about here. It was mentioned in the morning session. We have a space program which contains the 2 well-known programs in the previous time period, the previous budget period, Galileo Egnss satellite navigation, and Copernicus Earth observation. So they are, as most of you probably know, operational systems. They provide services to the EU, to industries, to authorities, to citizens. We have it in our mobile phones, navigation systems, and Copernicus Earth observation data and services are provided free of charge across the world, actually. So those programs still continue to run, but they are now, for the first time, united in one single space program, which is funded to the level of 13.2 billion euro, and which now includes two new components, which is marked here as SSA and GovSatcom, where SSA stands for Space Situational Awareness and contains itself three components: space surveillance and tracking in order to monitor space debris, and in order to avoid, obviously, collisions between space debris and operational satellites, and they provide a number of other services as well. And in addition to space surveillance and tracking, SSA also contains two sub-programs on near-Earth objects, asteroids and comets. Some of them may threaten the Earth, and another component called space weather. Space weather phenomena are also important to monitor and to understand in order to reduce the risk to Earth terrestrial infrastructure and space infrastructure. Finally, the last component in the space program is GovSatcom, governmental secure satellite communication in support of member state public authorities for crisis response and emergencies, etc. And these four components of the space program are supported by three cross-cutting activities, horizontal activities: access to space to provide launch capacity to launch the satellites into space, support to startup and entrepreneurship, which is also complemented by similar activities in Horizon Europe, and security-related aspects in relation to these systems. Galileo and Copernicus together is the vast majority of the activities and the funding. These are, as I said, running operational system, and the funding is used for, of course, for operating the system, for the operational activities, the service provisions, but also for the development, construction, and launch of new satellites into orbit. SSA and GovSatcom are new programs. They are have a more modest funding in the space program in this period, complemented by activities in Horizon Europe. For the two established systems, obviously Horizon Europe then provides the research element in order to prepare the future and to make sure that both satellite navigation and Earth observation in Europe remains competitive and increasingly competitive, and therefore provide necessary resources to develop new satellites and systems in order to do that. On the next slide, we have a description of Horizon Europe space. To go back to Horizon Europe, there are a number of different or separate activities, let's say, in this program, in this part of Horizon Europe Cluster 4. We support upstream space, so foster competitiveness of space system and reinforce capacity to access and use space. So these are activities that have been discussed over a couple of years now in the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, which is available for people to see. And we follow that agenda in order to implement programs and projects, activities to support this. We come to, of course, to the details a bit later here. There is support to the EU space program components that were just mentioned in the previous slide, evolution of the space and ground infrastructure and services, development of applications using these services and data that come out of these programs, and new innovative capabilities and ecosystems for entrepreneurship under the brand name of Cassini, which we will also hear more about. Finally, at the bottom there, you see the targeted and strategic actions, which are kind of cutting across and supporting all of these activities. We have a separate strand on critical technologies for European non-dependence in order to reduce our dependence on technologies coming from outside Europe and sometimes subject to export restrictions to Europe. We have an activity on in-orbit demonstration and validation to provide launch opportunities for small companies and universities, and also for other member states, various programs to test new technologies in space. There are synergies with the other activities here, of course, mentioned already previously, high performance computing, AI, big data, data strategy, and so on, where a lot of activities are undertaken under the other destinations of Cluster 4. We have an element of space science, education and skills, and international cooperation, as we will hear also a bit later. Okay, so let's move on. It's a bit slow here. Yes. Okay, so for this destination space, we have in our work program 4 calls actually, plus a number of other actions. So the 2 calls on the left are addressing competitiveness issues, so technology development, access to space, and a number of other activities that we will see. The 2 calls means that there is one call for the 2021 budget and another call for 2022 budget. But due to the delay of the adoption of the program and adoption of the work program, it has been decided to merge, so to say, the 2 calls in order to have the same deadline, the same opening date, 28th of October, and the same deadline date of the 16th of February, 2022. So they are marked in 2021, 2022, but actually will be evaluated at the same time. In February 2022 means that projects will be launched towards the end of next year. On the right hand of the screen, you see 2 other calls which will be managed by the European Space Program Agency that concern downstream applications and for Copernicus and Galileo Egnss. And we come to that a bit later. There the deadlines are for the second call will be a bit later. And in addition, some other actions that we will talk about. Okay, I will now very briefly run through the topics that will be described in the later videos, just so that you have an overview. So in the 2021 call that just mentioned, competitiveness of space system, reinforce EU capacity to access and use space. There are several call topics, as you see, on satellite communication, on future space ecosystems, addressing on-orbit operations. There are call topics on EU capacity to access and use space to support reusability of strategic space launchers, rockets, with another word, and to address low-cost, high-thrust propulsion of those launchers, and also a smaller topic to address new space transportation solutions and services, looking forward towards also addressing smaller launchers for smaller satellites. On the next slide, we have some other topics as well. I mentioned evolution of space and ground infrastructure for Galileo and Egnss. These are not open call topics. They are addressed in the work program under other actions towards the end of the work program. The Copernicus, we have evolution of Copernicus services. There are 4 topics to address climate change, atmosphere monitoring, security emergency service, and the combined services, cross-service thematic domains. Okay, so then we have evolution of EGNSS services, also mentioned under other actions. We have a topic on quantum technologies for space gravimetry, so quantum sensing. And we have finally, under the 2021 call topic, space technologies for European non-dependence and competitiveness, which is also in the 2022 call. All this information, of course, is available in the work program, and we will also revisit in the video presentations that will come just after. So in the 2022 call, there will be another topic on future space ecosystems in orbit operation to prepare an orbital demonstration mission. There will be technologies and a topic on technologies and generic building blocks for electric propulsion. And we'll have a topic on end-to-end Earth observation systems and associated services. And finally, a small topic on access to space, focusing on industrial platforms and standardized technology for interoperability of European access to space. Let's move on. Then we have, in addition, during in the 2022 call, we're still in this call, which has the same opening and closure deadline in February 2022. Evolution of services for Copernicus. So there are 3 topics here on marine environment, on CO2 emissions, and on land monitoring. And then we have an additional topic here on space weather research, and in the aiming towards services. We'll have a topic on education and skills in support of the space sector, very important. And finally, again, then a topic on European non-dependence and competitiveness in space technologies, as well as a space science and exploration technology development topic. So these are all the topics that were addressed. If you move back now a couple of slides, that are addressed in the left-hand part of the 4 calls, as you see. Okay. On the right-hand side, you see the calls that address applications of Copernicus and Galileo, and a few other topics as well. The 2021 part of this call, 2021 call addressing this, will have the same opening and closure dates as the 2 calls on the left side of the screen. Opening on the 28th of October, closing on the 16th of February. While the 2022 part of this call will be delayed with 1 year. So opening in October 2022 and closing in February 2023. These are still, let's say, preliminary dates, very likely, but preliminary. I should mention here that these calls on the right, they are managed by the European Space Program Agency in Prague, and the work program therefore appears in the end of our official European Union Horizon Europe work program. They appear at the end of the document in an appendix. They will be published on the participant portal very shortly. Just like all the other calls, you will see all the call topics in the normal way on the not to call the participant portal anymore, is funding and tenders portal, together with all the other calls of Horizon Europe. but the text you have already. Okay. In this call, in the 2021 part, which will open this year, then there are 3 topics addressing EGNSS, Copernicus applications for the Green Deal, EGNSS applications for safety crisis management, and finally applications for the digital age. Again, more about this in the videos that will come. In the 2022 call, there are several more topics. EGNSS applications for smart mobility. There is a topic on pre-commercial procurement, public sector as Galileo and Copernicus user. A topic on Copernicus downstream applications and the European data economy. Large-scale Copernicus data uptake with artificial intelligence and high-performance computing. And finally, designing space-based downstream applications with international partners. So this is our topic where we really ask for international cooperation, and you will hear more about that. Finally, there is another topic on GovSatcom service development and demonstrations, which is not directly linked then to Copernicus or Galileo, but address the new component of the space program, governmental satellite communication. I mentioned there are other actions as well. Those of you who are familiar with this from Horizon 2020 will recognize it. So these are actions that are not subject for calls for proposals. And here I summarized the main ones that address space. So we have 5 actions that address EU SST. So this is the Space Surveillance and Tracking Partnership. It's an identified beneficiary, so it's not an open call. It's open only to the EU SST partnership, a specific set of member states that entities in those member states may be part of this work. They are normal grants, but they are of course linked to previous activities in Horizon 2020 as well. We have 2 public procurements on EGNSS Evolution Mission Services, and we have a procurement related to new space entrepreneurship through the Cassini initiative. At the very end of these other actions, you find other implementation instruments, namely indirectly managed actions. So these are the activities that are delegated under a contribution agreement to European Space Agency and European Union Space Program Agency in Prague. So what is delegated to ESA here is EGNSS upstream research and development for future generation of Galileo Egnss, activities related to space weather and near-Earth objects, some upstream technology development for governmental satellite communication, and an in-orbit demonstration validation activity, which is linked to the Cassini initiative. That is a continuation of what's being funded in Horizon 2020. And those of you who are familiar with this will recognize. What is maybe a bit different here, in the first years, we will provide specific support to a quantum mission in cooperation with ESA. The European Union Space Program Agency in Prague, they will manage GovSatcom service, EGNSS and Copernicus downstream activities, and Cassini prices. Okay, so that I think completes the picture regarding the call topics and the other actions, in order for you to have the overview when you hear the pre-recorded video presentations a bit later. Just a word about eligibility conditions. We have, some of you may already be aware of this, and some of our topics are limited in which countries can participate or which countries, entities can participate. We have 6 topics linked to the SST partnership and GovSatcom, which are very strongly related to the EU space program. So the 5 SST grants are limited to the SST partnership, and by virtue of the EU space program, they are limited to member states and the member states that participate in this partnership. So that's an eligibility condition. We have a topic on GovSatcom, where also the EU space program limits the participation to member states. So the eligibility condition will be the same. They are mirrored by an article in Horizon Europe, or paragraph 11 of article Annex 4, which says that eligibility conditions may be limited in relation to, in this case, the EU space program. Then there are 9 other activities which are subject to Article 22.5, where the limitation of participation which are subject to limitation of participation to EU member states and EEA, so in this case Norway and Iceland, to be associated to Horizon Europe, and possibly other associated countries subject to providing sufficient guarantees to protect EU security interests. To summarize shortly what it is about. And this is in order to allow the EU to develop specific capabilities in certain sensitive areas related to launchers, quantum technologies, and the critical space technologies for European independence. We can take, time permitting, we can have a discussion about this. Member states are very much involved in this process, and we are now embarking on a discussion with the candidate associated countries to see if such guarantees can be, let's say, accepted. And it's a discussion that's going on until September. And there might be then, as a result of that, most likely an update of the work program to include a few more or many more associated countries in the eligibility condition. The work program contains this eligibility condition and provides more detail as well on the process. Okay, that summarizes a bit what we have in front of us today, so to say. And I don't think we should open the floor now, but rather for questions, but rather move on with the first set of videos. And let me see now if I have the sorry, I have a little bit of a problem here. Yes, which will address then access to space topics, skills and education, GovSatcom, and space weather. And after that, we will have a Q&A session on those topics. So without delaying this any further, I will ask the organizers to help us to put the videos online. Thank you very much.
Good morning or good afternoon. I am Jean-Michel Montier, working at European Commission. DG DEFIS means Defense Industry and Space. I have the pleasure and a great honor for me to present to you the access to space topics of this first work program Horizon Europe, Cluster 4. Cluster 4 means Digital, Industry and Space. As you know, the work program has been adopted by the Commission, or you may know that it has been adopted on the 15th of June 2021, and it will be published very soon. So at this stage, I think it is maybe useful for you that I give you an element of context, which is quite important to understand where those topics on access to space come from. So in the frame of the preparation of Horizon Europe, the Commission set up a large consultation platform, a broad consultation platform with representatives from all the stakeholders, from member states, space agencies, industry, including representatives from SMEs and startups, research organizations and academia. And this work with all the stakeholders led to an agreed strategic research and innovation agenda for EU-funded space research, supporting competitiveness. We call it SRIA, and it was agreed at the end of 2019. And if you are interested, you can find the document as it is public. It has been published. So this SRIA identifies challenges, objectives, and research and innovation agenda needs and priorities. And one chapter of this SRIA is dedicated to access to space challenges, and needs and priorities. And the Commission used this SRIA as a guidance to propose and to build this work program, which was then largely discussed with member states before its adoption. The access to space is addressed under the destination open strategic autonomy in developing, deploying, and using global space-based infrastructures, services, applications, and data. So I will present to you the 4 topics related to access to space as listed on this summary table. So in the first column you find the type of actions. In the second column the identification and the title of each topic, and then in the last one, the third column, you have budget indication. All 4 topics are research and innovation action area. That means that they are funded at 100% of the eligible cost. Now, if we read the second column, you see the identification that maybe I can explain for this first slide. So, Horizon means is the name of the program. CL4 stands for Cluster 4. Then you have the year of the call, 21 or 22. And then we have the incremental code. So the year is important on the budget standpoint of view, but you can see on the right hand side of the slide that I indicate that both calls, 21 and 22, are planned to be open on 28 October this year in 2021. And the planned closing date is 16 of February 2022. So this means that it is the deadline for you to make applications. So 21 or 22, I will say at this stage for you is the same. For the rest of the presentation, I will mainly use the title of each topic. With I think we made the effort to have them quite explicit. What can I say here? So maybe very briefly. So the first topic as mentioned in the title, address activities related to reusability concept and technologies for European strategic space launches. And we will come back later what means strategic. Strategy for EU means for that they have the capacity to launch EU space components such as Galileo and Copernicus satellites. Worth mentioning, but I will repeat it later, that in the scope of this topic, we expect to maturation of technology and concepts and operations, including flight test demonstration. And we have an overall budget for this topic of 39 million euro. The second topic addresses also European strategic space launches, but it addresses the low-cost, high-thrust propulsion technologies. And here again, it includes the maturation up to and including test, but here there are on-ground tests. The third topic addresses new space transportation solutions and services, and we'll see more broadly in the description of the scope what it means. But for example here, as the first two, we say strategic launches for the capacity of Galileo and Copernicus. Here we will be more broader, and you can address, for example, here some activities for micro launches, but also for re-entry vehicle and kick stage. So we'll see that in more detail. We have an overall budget of 3 million euro. And the last one addresses space ground facilities. And more specifically, it addresses activities for multi-sites, flexible industrial platform, and associated standardized technology to improve cost efficiency and interoperability of European access to space ground facilities. Now let's go a bit more in detail after this summary and this overview of the four topics. So let's go one topic per topic. For your information on the work program, if you have it with you, this starts, well, access to space topics starts at page 311 or around that. I will, for each topic, I will summarize my presentation by 4 slides. One with the expected outcomes and scope. I must say that on the presentation, I only highlight some elements that I found it useful for this presentation, but obviously the exhaustivity of the description is in the text of the work program. And at the moment you will prepare your proposal, you must refer to the legal text, which is the text of the work program, the text, and more broadly the text of the call, but the expected outcome and scope comes from the work program. So from this first topic, reusability for European strategic space launches, technologies and operation maturation, including flight test demonstration, it is broadly expected that this project contributes to the overarching objective of launch cost price reduction by 50% by 2030, and also contributing to reinforcing EU's non-dependence capacity to access to space. And this objective was discussed and agreed during the consultation platform I mentioned earlier on that led to the 3A. A second outcome is expected is an acceleration of the innovation of enabling technologies by maturing, assessing, and practicing through representative in-flight experiments. The other outcome I mentioned on the next slide is cost reduction. You understood that the activities are cost reduction driven, so we expect an investigation of the cost reduction and also system test. To summarize the scope, but once again you have to go in the text of the work program to find all the detail. So the activities under this topic address reusability concept, including required technologies that have a strong potential for cost reduction, the overall launch service cost reduction, starting with the recovery of the most expensive components, such as the first stage of a launcher. It addresses technologies and building blocks maturation up to TRL 5 to 6 and subsystem and system tests, including system vehicle integration, ground test, and low altitude flight system test by 2023, and a contribution to the preparation up to ground-based system test and suborbital flight test by 2025. Important to note that in the text is clearly written that the suborbital flight tests are not included in this topic. Some elements to be kept in mind that are listed on this text, and but once again this is not exhaustive, but these are coming from the text. So some elements I thought would be good to mention at this presentation. First, the strategic launches. So I already say that what we call strategic launches are launches able to launch EU space program components such as Galileo and Copernicus satellites. So you have to propose enabling technologies, development of enabling technologies or building blocks that can be applicable to this type of launches, this capacity of launches. The system test vehicle should be representative of a reusable first stage of such EU strategic launches. The vehicle shall be equipped with a reusable propulsion system. As you probably well know, in access to space, in the launches, the propulsion system is an important component. So for this test, we want that the that the propulsion system is reusable. The proposed activities must also support EU non-dependence objective and include the assessment of cost reduction investigations. It includes, as mentioned before, the maturation and the demonstration, and we indicate in the text of the call of the work program the areas that at least should be addressed by your proposed activities. I did not put them on the slide. You will find it directly in the text, but just some examples. We mentioned the low-cost guidance, navigation control and avionics, the maneuvering control devices, the health monitoring, the aerodynamic devices, the descent and landing recovery, the on-ground servicing processes, as we mentioned in the title. We have to make sure the operations linked to reusability. And we also listed in the areas the safety critical processes before launch and after landing. So your activities shall address at least all those areas. It means that you can also add some others. Your proposal shall also include as many as possible technologies in each area in order to maximize the number of mature technologies to be submitted to this integrated test at system level. Means a test with all the technologies together. Important also to provide in your proposal to provide evidence of the complementarity and coherence of your proposed activities with the ESA ongoing or future activities. So you have to be aware of ESA activities and find out those information if you don't have them through your partners, through your member states. But it's important that the proposed activities are complementary and coherent. We cannot afford to duplicate unnecessarily activities. We have to join forces. You have to provide all the IPR dependencies with the ongoing activities. This is an important aspect to demonstrate that your proposed activities can go up to the end without any difficulties. And you shall provide also a detailed implementation that demonstrate that you will achieve the expected outcomes with a described project schedule and budget. Now I'm moving to the eligibility criteria, which are described in the text of the work program. Eligibility conditions. So the participation is limited for the moment to legal entities established in member states, Iceland and Norway. However, the eligibility to participate to these action will be extended to include legal entities established in candidate associated countries to Horizon Europe, which provide assurances concerning the protection of EU's strategic assets, interests, autonomy or security. And entities, it is also open to entities established in an eligible country listed above, but which are directly or indirectly controlled by non-eligible country or by a non-eligible country entity, may not participate in the action unless it can be demonstrated by means of guarantees provided by their eligible country or of establishment, that their participation to the action will not negatively impact the union's strategic assets, interest, autonomy or security. This is an extract of the text, which is, but please read carefully the eligibility conditions which are described in the text. I will not repeat this slide each time, but it is the same eligibility conditions that are applied for the 4 topics on access to space. Last slide on this first topic on reusability. I already mentioned the overall budget is 39 million euro. We expect one project to maximize the impact of this topic. As already mentioned, this project shall try to mature as many as possible technologies, including technology in competition, in order to benefit of this opportunity to have in-flight demonstration. And taking into account the budget constraints, we cannot afford to have several demonstration vehicles. So it is expected to be selected one project between 30 and 39 million euro. It is a research and innovation action, as mentioned in the start, so 100% funded at 100% of the eligible cost. And we expect TRL 5-6 for the technologies addressed within this project by the end of the project. Now let's move to the second topic, which addresses low-cost, high-thrust propulsion for European strategic space launches, technologies maturation, including ground test. The same expected outcomes to contribute to the overarching objective of launch service reduction, price reduction by 50% by 2030, and to going towards reinforcing EU's non-dependence capacity to access to space. We expect also innovation acceleration for enabling technologies, and we also expect cost reduction investigation and demonstration by ground test. The scope of this second topic. First, I will mention the element which is the maturation of new or optimized low-cost, effective, high-performance and green propulsion systems, technologies, and propellant for high-thrust engine. So it's important to recall that we are addressing high-thrust propulsion. Once again, we are addressing European strategic launches, means launches in the capacity of launching EU space components such as Galileo and Copernicus satellites. So it does not address propulsion for micro-launchers, for example. We will see that we have specific actions for where micro-launchers, for example, can be addressed. The second element which is important within the scope is the technologies and building blocks, but also tool and processes, including maintenance and safety, shall reach a maturation of TRL 5 and 6 by the end of the project, and include subsystem tests, including prototype, and also integrated tests at subsystem level by 23-24. As for the previous topic, I introduced some slides on what I call to be kept in mind, some elements that I thought important to mention today. I don't repeat the first one. What is important is strategic launches, yes, but with the objective of enabling operational capacities by 2030. This is also why we are requesting a high-level TRL. And we say by 2030, but preferably earlier for current launch solutions. Your proposal shall address also activities for the test, and the test should be appropriate to this objective of operational capacities. The proposed activities must also support EU non-dependence objectives, and as mentioned in the expected outcome, you shall carry out assessment of the cost reduction investigations. You can address one or several areas which are mentioned in the text of the call. Those areas are low-cost propulsion, throttability. You shall seek to reduce the number of parts of engine with an extensive application of additive manufacturing. A fourth area is maintenance and overhaul, and the last areas we listed is associated fluidics. And your activities can address one or several of the areas which are listed. As previously, it has to include as many as possible technologies in each area in order to maximize the number of mature technologies at the end of the project. And the same, it shall be you shall provide evidence that your proposed activities are complementary and coherent with ESA ongoing and future activities. You have to provide all the IPR dependency and with other ongoing activities, and detail the implementation in order to achieve all the expected outcome within the project schedule and budget. I will skip this slide because it's the same as the previous topic, and I said it will be for all four topics. The eligibility conditions are the same for the four topics, and you have them presented already, and they are in. For what regard the specific conditions, so we expect a project between 15 and 19 million euro. It's a research innovation action with a technology readiness level expected at TRL 5-6 for the technologies by the end of the project. And we expect one project for the same reason as the previous topic, in order to maximize the impact of the activity. Let's move now to the third topic: new space transportation solution and services. So here the four expected outcomes are: first, to contribute to the EU Green Deal objective through a reduction of the environmental impact of space transportation, and to prepare also the upcoming REACH regulations, especially with respect to the use of hydrazine and its derivatives. Second expected outcome is to contribute to expand the commercial space transportation offer and services with new space transportation solutions, And we are even more precise because in the text we mentioned that the objective is to contribute to double the accessible new space transportation services market to European industry by 2030. One expected outcome is to design and performance the design and performance studies as well as business cases, demonstration of economic viability of your proposed activities. And we expect mature technologies by the end of the project, mature technologies up to TRL 5.6, including functional and qualification tests on ground. The scope of the activities, and I'm very sorry, but there is a bit of text, but I think it's worth reading carefully this text. So it's a maturation of technologies up to TRL 5.6, of enabling new technologies and subsystems, including common building blocks amongst in the different fields, in the field of green propulsion, micro launches and associated launch facilities, kick stage, orbital propulsion and distancing, attitude and landing, re-entry solutions, smart satellite deployment system dispensers for space transportation, including new routes up to lunar orbit or surface. Here, the challenge is to develop new capacities as we see all those new launch service needs coming, new transportation, space transportation emerging. So it's really important to contribute to the development of new capacities and new services for in all these listed domain. Maybe it's here. Okay, so the maturation of the technology can go up to subsystem and system levels. It may include one or several areas listed in the call. And we listed also in the areas, obviously the green and low-cost propeller and functional propulsion systems, the green engine, the altitude control systems, the thrusters, ignition, fluid control equipment, the actuation of system and pyrotechnic systems, and so on. So please refer to the text of the call and you will see all the areas where that can be addressed, one or several. Once again, your proposed activities shall be complementary and coherent with ESA ongoing and future activities, and you have to provide evidence in your proposal and also provide all IPR dependencies and the demonstration that the implementation achieve all the expected outcomes within the project schedule and budget. Same eligibility conditions than before. So I will move directly to the specific conditions. So we expect projects between 1 and 1.5 million. We have an indicative budget of overall of 3 million. So research and innovation action with a technology readiness level expected by the end of the project of TRL 5 to 6, and we expect to select maximum 2 projects. The fourth and last topic on access to space addresses ground facilities for access to space. I thought I know it. So this is a bit further in the document. Let me see if I find the page. Yes, page 342 of the work program. You will find this the description of this topic. So the activities shall address multi-sites flexible industrial platform and standardized technology for improving interoperability of European access to space ground facilities. Here again, the activities are cost reduction driven, and they shall contribute to the overarching objective of launch service price reduction by 50% by 2030, and also go towards reinforcing EU's independent capacity to access to space. The activities shall are expected to improve or contribute to improve the cost efficiency of existing European test production and space launch facilities. And we expect a feasibility study of an industrial platform, including a cost-benefit assessment of the key technologies in representative conditions. And we expect mature technologies up to TRL 5-6 by the end of the project. The scope of activities are fairly detailed, if I can find it in my text. Okay. So as I said, the scope of the activities, one important element of the scope of the activities is cost reduction and improving flexibility of European launch systems. The technology maturation shall be applicable, while your selected technology that you will propose shall be applicable to strategic launch system able to launch EU space program components, with the objective of enabling operational capacities by 2030. This is the reason why we are expecting a high TRL by the end of the project. So the activity shall address one or several of the listed domains which are described in the text of the work program. They shall address multi-site flexible industrial platform, and here we expect a feasibility study and maturation of key technologies, and explore the use of value stream mapping, including the material and information flow in the field of design to manufacturing, industry, integration, maintenance and operation capabilities, including improvement based on advanced data management and artificial intelligence. All that towards cost reduction and cost efficiency. Another domain is the development of standardized and cost-effective innovative technologies to improve cost efficiencies of existing test and launch facilities, their interoperability and compatibility, attractiveness for new users, including one or several of several domains that are listed: modern data handling, data processing, diagnostic techniques. You can address also eco-friendly technologies automation and innovative controls, mobile telemetry systems, mobile payload preparation facilities, vacuum simulation test facilities, security and safety. Once again, you can propose technologies that may include one or several of the domain listed in the text. Your activities shall be complementary and coherent with these ongoing and future activities. So we have to be coherent, but also not to duplicate. And you have to provide all the IPR dependency with the ongoing activities. And you shall detail the implementation, achieve all the in order to achieve all the expected outcomes within the project schedule and budget. To be kept in mind, you will find the same lines on the eligibility conditions. Repeat them. And to finish with, my last slide is on the specific conditions. So for this topic, we expect one project between 1 and 2 million euro. It's a research innovation action with technology readiness level expected at TRL 5-6 by the end of the project. And this will close my presentation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maria Vittoria Dinzeo. I work for DG DEFI, the Director General in charge of Defense Industry and Space. Welcome to this Info Day. Today I will present you the call in support for education and skills in the space sector. It is part of the destination on open strategic autonomy in developing, deploying and using global space-based infrastructure, services and applications and data. So with this activity, the indicative budget is 3 million. It is a coordination and support actions. We expect to fund up to one project, and the expected EU contribution per project is foreseen to be between 2 and 3 million. This call will open on the 28th of October this year, and the planned closing is expected on the 16th of February 2022. Just to remind you that, as usual, all the calls are published on the Horizon Europe Funding and Tenders portal. So what are the expected outcome of this activity? Is first of all to have an overview on the educational offer, including continuing education for the EU space sector, as well as to have an analysis, a socioeconomic analysis of the space-oriented student population, and an identification of gaps and shortcomings and excellencies across Europe and the associated countries. Also, the expected outcomes of this activity is to identify the needs and provide opportunities in support of the upgrade and update of skills in the space sector, promote mobility of professionals and researchers across countries and across sector, taking into consideration the potential of new educational curricula addressing emerging and future needs. And finally, what is also expected is to have a list and a set of actions for the promotion of space jobs and career in bachelor and master courses, creation of educational material for jobs related to Earth observation and position navigation and timing, in particular for the downstream sector. So these outcomes are expected to contribute to fostering the EU space sector competitiveness by enhancing the adequacy between the needs of the sector and the qualification of the workforce, thereby reinforcing the EU capacity to develop products and services with a higher level of autonomy. In other words, it is expected that the offer for skilled workforce will meet the demands of the sector from a skill perspective, with a view obviously to have a higher level of autonomy when conceiving and developing products and services. So what is the scope of this activity? The scope is obviously to contribute to competitiveness and innovation of the EU space sector through high educational standards and skilled professionals, and to give the possibility to these professionals to upgrade and update their skills. So it's really upskilling and reskilling. This will also benefit the overall R&I community, where the quality of results and the impact is key for the design of the future space sector. And it is also very much in line with the EU priorities on the alignment of educational degrees, with the view to provide more opportunities and promote the mobility of professionals and researchers across countries and sectors. So a few elements to keep in mind for this call is that in the analysis of the state-of-the-art proposal should cover the bachelor, so the undergraduate and postgraduate, as well as continuing education. This analysis shall address both the offer and the demand, and provide also a quantitative analysis on the students at different levels that are eventually employed in the space sector at large, and should also provide some socioeconomic aspects such as the gender balance, educational background, family income, parents' education, residence geography, and so on. As part of this analysis, the analysis of the skills need, the proposal should take into consideration the skills needs of not only the R&I but also of the industrial community, and in order to do so they should engage both with industry and educational institutions. And one element, this is also linked to the previous bullet point, whereby the skills should not only be limited to technical, scientific and engineering disciplines, but should also include the essential soft skills needed. An assessment of the number of professionals needed in the different segments of the space sector should also be produced, and should be based on a quantitative analysis of the demographic across the EU, and the current enrollment rate into space-oriented skills should also be produced. So some other elements to keep in mind is that the analysis should and proposal in general should take into consideration all the results stemming from existing union-funded activities such as EU4GEO and the Perseus project. As an example, the EU4GEO project, which is funded under the Erasmus Plus project, is a blueprint for sector skills cooperation in the Earth observation and geospace information sector. Therefore, proposals are expected to take into consideration all the discoveries and the findings stemming from, for example, this specific project with respect to skills, and provide some additional elements or way to bring these discoveries forward. Then proposals are expected to analyze the level of cooperation between academia and industry in the field of PhD studies, and propose measures to promote the research experience of the academic personnel. Proposals should promote also the use of continuous learning, supported by new digital technologies, such as the massive online open course. Once again, a massive online open course was already organized in the frame of the Earth observation program. Therefore, again, proposals are expected to take into consideration the results stemming from this activity and to seek ways on how to continue it and further enhance it. Finally, the promotion of jobs and careers in the space sector and providing information about the different curricula and disciplines that are of interest for such careers in bachelor and master studies should be analyzed and should be sought, as well as the creation of course modules in relation to Union Space Program components Copernicus and Galileo for jobs related to Earth observation and position, navigation and timing, in particular for the downstream sector. Now, before I conclude my presentation, I would like also to remind you that there are a number of activities that have been set up also in the frame of the Erasmus program and stemming from the European skills agenda. Therefore, we also expect applicants and proposals to address these policy priorities stemming from the Union priority for skills and education. So, thank you very much for your attention, and I remain available if you need further clarifications or if you have any questions. Thank you very much.
This call is dedicated to the research activities that are in support to the adoption of the services that would come from GovSatcom, one of the new components in the EU space program. And as you know, the objective of GovSatcom is to provide secure satellite communication to governmental actors in the EU in support of the needs by member states for increased security and robustness. This will be done through pooling and sharing approach of the existing satellite resources. The users for GovSatcom will include a wide range of security actors, for example, border guards, police, military, civil protection, the diplomatic communities in the member states, EU institutions and agencies. So with this call, we want to fund actions that would anticipate the phase of service provision that will start in the horizon 2024-2025, but already showing to real users and with their involvement the advantages of the pooling and sharing mechanism on which GovSatcom is based. The project that we intend to launch under this call would therefore be expected to contribute to the following outcomes. Well, first of all, to consolidate the services. The GovSatcom service portfolio will be the subject of an implementing act that the Commission will present next year. And it is important in this context for us to receive feedback from the users on the services that GovSatcom will provide. Users will be those already identified in the high-level civil and military user needs document, and we want to have direct involvement of them with emphasis on civilian users. Secondly, the outcome is also performing a demonstration. This is needed for technology development. It is needed for technical validation of the concepts, and also does bring in the advantage of making awareness and outreach on the potential of GovSatcom, which is obviously needed for future increased service adoption. The possible technologies that we would like to have considered are the drones, optical links, the inclusion of the Internet of Things for governmental purposes, and so on. But let's see more in details on the scope of action that we would like to fund under this call. As said before, we want research and innovation for the consolidation of use cases. We want demonstration of service interoperability in real user environment. So we would welcome here innovation in doing this, in particular for the development of innovative use cases in the areas, for example, of crisis management, surveillance, critical infrastructure, and so on. And also exploiting a combination of secure SATCOM services, such as mobile satellite service and fixed satellite services. Interoperability is also a very important aspect. Interoperability of services based on the pool and share capacity from different satellite systems, but also interoperability between those satellite systems with terrestrial communication services. Very importantly also, we want integrated application that would leverage the synergies with the services that are provided by other space program components, for example, Galileo, Egnss, Copernicus, and SSA. The degree of technology maturity of detection shall be the proof of concept in a real user environment. And of course, as said before, we welcome awareness and outreach activities that shall be part of it in order to favor the user uptake of EU GovSatcom. A few more details on this call. We estimate that a new contribution of between 1 and 1.5 million would allow these outcomes to be addressed appropriately. However, we would also accept proposal requesting different amounts. The overall budget allocated to this call is about 9.1 million, and the type of action is research and innovation actions. Now, a couple of remarks on the eligibility conditions. Well, first, in the case of projects that would involve using EU classified information as a background document, or that would produce security sensitive results, then a specific provision would apply, and you can refer to the related provision in section B, security of the general annexes. Then second, the Article 24 of the space regulation applies. This is in accordance with the regulation establishing Horizon Europe. Therefore, for reasons of EU strategic autonomy and security of the European space assets, the eligibility is restricted to those legal entities established in any member states which comply with the conditions that are established in Article 24. So this concludes the description of the call GovSatcom for 2022, and I thank you for your attention.
Space weather. It's nowadays recognized that commonly occurring space weather events have the potential to affect the performance of critical space and ground infrastructures by disrupting operations and communications in multiple sectors of our society. This Horizon Europe research topic about space weather aims to continue preparing Europe for full exploitation of space weather data by a renewed effort on modeling and forecasting for the benefit of new precursor services. One of the expected outcomes of this space weather topic is to develop concepts to provide space weather data and forecasts with criteria on timely availability, harmonized data standards, and quality control similar to the best practices of meteorological services. In particular, improved space weather restitution and prediction capabilities shall benefit from artificial intelligence techniques. The scope of research activities shall address application domains that include space as well as terrestrial infrastructures and include, for example, on-ground demonstration tests. Complementarity and consistency with existing and past activities in space weather domain should be thought and demonstrated. Space weather is a research and innovation action supported by an indicative budget of 2 million euros, and we are looking for 2 projects of around 1 million each.
Okay, so that was quite a long session of pre-recorded presentations of the topics, and now we can start the question answer session. I think there are already some questions that have come through the Slido, and let's see how we can address those. I think some of the questions are already answered in the presentations. Let me go up. The very first question was on NCP. So here, it's true that on the funding and tenders portal, the NCPs are per cluster and not per destination. Therefore, it's not so easy to see who to address the question to in terms of national contact points. However, there is no wrong door. So contact any cluster for NCP and you will be directed to good contact. I think that's the basic answer to that. Of course, there will be many of you will still be know your national NCP for space, can contact them. In many cases, they are the same, but not all. So that's that for the moment. What else do we have? EUSPA, European Union Space Program Agency in Prague. It's a European Union agency. We have delegated the call to them and they will follow the same rules. It is Horizon Europe. And it is a call that's already been provided to you for information in the appendix of this work program. And that will be published on the Funding and Tenders portal, and following the same rules of evaluation and grants, same grants, grant agreements, and same conditions. So there should be no difference there. On the Article 22.5, the limitation of participation to member states and certain third countries or associated countries, there, the outcome of the discussion will be in the form of a work program amendment to be published before the opening of the call. So during the month of October. The discussions for the moment are carried out between the Commission and the member states in the Strategic Horizon Europe Program Committee for Cluster 4, and sorry, for the Strategic Committee, which is the overarching committee, and of course between the Commission and the candidate associated countries who want to provide this kind of guarantees that we are discussing. So there's not so much more to say, except that, and there was a question, a related question, I think, on Israel in particular, Israeli participation. Any country in the world is eligible to participate in general, well, with very few exceptions, in calls. The question is about these call topics where there is a limited participation. So if a country, at this point, it's not possible to say, except for the member states and Norway and Iceland, who will be eligible to participate in these particular call topics. Remember, it's 9 plus 6, so 15 topics of our 45 space topics we talk about here. And so we will know well ahead of the deadline of the call which countries are eligible. It should be known by October before the opening of the call, so almost 4 months before the deadline. That should give the consortia sufficient time to prepare and to adapt to the situation. Now, of course, this is the rule for all the associated countries is by the time of the grant agreement signature, the country need actually to have a signed association agreement in order to be associated, so to say. So that's another prerequisite, but usually that's not a problem. Could be a problem in specific cases. I think in the morning we talked about Switzerland, where there are no negotiations going on for the moment. It may take some time, so they might not be able to be associated before the deadline of this 2021 calls. But this remains to be seen. One should not jump to conclusions yet at this stage. What are the other calls here? Looking through. Okay, there are some questions about the next batch of topics. I think we delay those questions to after the presentations of those topics. There's a question on the call on education. Will the outcomes of the tender issued last year be made available for the winning consortium? Speaking under the control of the presenter, Mavi Dinzeo, as far as we can tell, it makes sense to make available. Of course, the outcome of a tender is not published in that sense, but the activities that will be funded under this tender will be made known, so that in order to be complementary and not duplicate work that is already funded, obviously. So that's clear. In that sense, the outcomes will be made available and well known, not just to the consortium but to the community. Okay, do we have anything to add, Mavi? No, nothing to add, I think. So European Connectivity Initiative, I don't know if we can go into those details. Maybe Stefano, if you want to say something about the European Connectivity Initiative. Does it have a dedicated budget? If yes, where will it build on existing components on Horizon Europe and the space program?
Yes, thank you, and good afternoon again. Today, the Connectivity Initiative that is announced last year by our Commissioner Breton is still under definition. There is an ongoing action of defining, but the details will only come, let's say, in the coming months, and in a proposal that the Commission will table next year. GovSatcom is currently considered a building block of this initiative, and this is what currently is included in the space regulation, and what is therefore founded also under Horizon Europe, which is coherent with what is today complied in the regulation. So today, the budget in the space program and in Horizon Europe is dedicated of GovSatcom. So we could see this. We could also see the actions that we have asked, and I have described previously as contributing to the validation of the GovSatcom component, and indirectly, let's say, to the connectivity initiative, as GovSatcom is a building block. So this is the situation as of today. Back to you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I think there's a question for Mavi here. Will the educational skills for EU space sector also look at associated countries that are ESA members?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Indeed, it is specifically mentioned in the work program, in the call text, that both EU27 and associated country, the analysis should be performed on the skill gaps of both EU27 and associated countries to Horizon Europe. Therefore, the answer is yes. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mavi, for that. There's another question that just came in here about the timing. So submission deadline, February 2022. When can we expect to know if we have been selected or not? And when could the project kick off? So there we follow the same timing as in Horizon 2020, meaning about 5 months until information is given to the applicant. Sorry, that's not exactly true. It's about 5 months until information of the outcome is given to the program committee, but applicants will be informed around the same time, within days, I would say. So 5 months from February is about July. Another 3 months for preparing the grants, and then the projects could launch. Sometimes it's a little bit faster than that. Stefano, maybe you know, no, not Stefano, sorry, I'm mistaken here. We don't have anyone from our agency online, but 8 months is the longest time to grant, and sometimes it's a bit faster than that. So that, I think, answers the question. It's the same as in Horizon 2020. I think we covered all the questions that just came. Am I right? Are there any other questions? Anyone wants to jump in here? No? Okay. If that's not the case, I suggest we move on then to the next group of topics, the next block, which is dedicated to Egnss and Copernicus downstream applications. There is a set of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 topics addressing Egnss Copernicus downstream application, including one topic on quantum technologies for space gravimetry, which has some relation to Earth observation. Therefore, we put it here as well. So please, maybe we can run the videos there now.
Welcome to the Horizon Europe Research and Innovation Days for Space. My name is Tina Meder. I work in the European Commission, DG Defis, Defense, Industry and Space, in Unit B2, and I am in charge for the Egnss downstream related topics. What I would like to do in my presentation is to give you an overview on the 5 Egnss downstream calls we will have in Horizon Europe in the years 21 and 22. The international call for Egnss and Copernicus will be presented by a colleague, as well as some other important R&D opportunities for space downstream in Horizon Europe. First of all, let me say a few words about the objectives of Egnss applications R&D funding. With our funding, we would like to support, in particular, the development of Egnss and Copernicus downstream applications for the benefit of EU citizens, companies, and society. So it is very important for us to create growth and jobs, as well as to provide for the implementation of societal objectives, such as the European Green Deal, where space plays an important role. We would also like to promote the adoption of applications in the EU and worldwide with a view to strengthening EU strategic autonomy. And we would like to promote synergies between Galileo, Egnss and Copernicus, as well as synergies with other programs, including non-space. I would also like to say a few words about how we came to formulate the 5 call priorities, which I will present to you in a moment. We actually had in 2018 and 2019 a very extensive stakeholder consultation process on the EGNSS R&D priorities for the future, which were jointly organized with the GSA, now EUSPA. In this framework, we had several consultation rounds with member states, industry, academia, the user consultation platform, and the call priorities, which I will introduce to you in a moment, have been developed on this basis. Let me go straight into the topic. What calls do we have in the next 2 years for EGNSS Downstream in our Cluster 4 Digital Industry and Space Work Program? In 2021, so this year, we have an EGNSS Downstream call with 3 call topics, and you can see the topics displayed here in this list. We firstly have the topic EGNSS and Copernicus applications fostering the European Green Deal with an indicative budget of 14 million euro. We have, in addition to this, a call topic on EGNSS applications for safety and crisis management with a budget of 9.3 million euro. And we have the call topic EGNSS applications for the digital age with an indicative budget of 9.3 million euro. All 3 call topics are innovation actions, and we are looking to support projects within a project size of around 2 to 3 million euro per project. The planned opening date of this call is the 28th of October. This is an indicative date which is subject to confirmation. Now let me go a bit further into depth on each of these call topics so that you have a better idea of what is being funded. The first call topic we have in 21 is EGNSS and Copernicus applications fostering the European Green Deal. As you know, the European Green Deal is a key political objective of this Commission, and we believe that space can contribute a lot to implementing the goals of the European Green Deal. Therefore, we have actually for the first time a joint call for EGNSS and Copernicus applications fostering the European Green Deal. In this joint call, we particularly focus on those areas of the European Green Deal where space can provide the biggest added value. So we have a zero pollution ambition for a toxic-free environment, where we are inviting space-based solutions which contribute to CO2 reductions and a toxic-free environment. Mitigation of natural hazards. Here we are inviting solutions which limit the damage from fires, floods or other natural hazards. Supplying clean, affordable and secure energy. Accelerating the shift to sustainable and smart mobility. So here we are thinking of space-based solutions which reduce congestion, emissions and pollution, especially in urban areas. Building and renovation in energy and use efficient way. So here we are looking and inviting for space-based solutions which contribute to the digitalization, smart monitoring and tracking of building and renovation processes. From farm to fork, so here we are looking what space can provide to support the farm to fork strategy to build up a fair, healthy and environmentally friendly food system. And finally, preserving and restoring ecosystems and biodiversity. The projects we are inviting to take part under this call topic can either be based on Galileo, Egnss or on Copernicus, Or, and this is something we particularly would like to support, is the synergies between Galileo, Egnss and Copernicus. So we are very much interested in solutions which are using both EGNSS and Copernicus. The expected final TRL of the solution developed shall be between 7 and 9, and the budget available for this core topic is 14 million euro. The second core topic we have in 21 is EGNSS applications for safety and crisis management. Space applications can play a very important role in building and improving an effective response for emergency situations and in protecting our European critical infrastructures. So therefore, the proposals we are looking for under this core topic may be submitted in 2 areas. The first is improved emergency disaster risk management and societal resilience. And here we are looking for space-based solutions for critical services related to the detection, preparedness, response, recovery and mitigation of emergencies and disasters, drone and robot operations for disaster response based on space, and GNSS Copernicus-based earthquake early warning systems, and a number of other activities which you find outlined in the call text. The other area which is important to us here is timing and synchronization applications focusing on emerging network synchronization needs of critical infrastructures, so electricity, telecommunications networks. And here we're looking for proposals to increase receiver resilience to interference, tighter and more accurate time phase requirements, time-precise synchronization between financial platforms, critical assets monitoring, etc. Here we are, the expected final TRL of the solution developed shall be between 7 and 9, and the budget we have available for this core topic is 9.3 million euro. The third core topic we have in 21 is EGNSS applications for the digital age. This core topic contributes to another political key priority of the Commission, the EU's digital strategy, which aims at making Europe fit for the digital age. We see an important role for EGNSS here because the combination of digital technologies, Internet of Things, 5G, artificial intelligence, and EGNSS offers the possibility that each physical device can become a connected device. And this again offers really a lot of new opportunities for innovative applications in business on the one side, and on the other side, a new generation of technologies which will make the life of end users easier. So proposals may be submitted in any of the following areas displayed in the slide: Internet of Things, mobile solutions, mHealth, so solutions for the silver economy and robotics, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, sharing economy, so solutions for logistics, mobility services, goods and food, and finally sports and fitness, smart wearables, which is a very interesting sector for EGNSS. The solutions developed shall be at the final TRL level between 7 and 9, and the budget available for this call is 9.3 million euro. Proposals submitted for all these 3 call topics shall exploit the EGNSS differentiators such as high accuracy service, the open service navigation message authentication, Galileo signal authentication service, and search and rescue for the development of new innovative applications. The new innovative applications shall have a commercial impact and a clear market uptake. For us, it's also important that we want to encourage the participation of industry, in particular SMEs and mid-caps. In addition to this, we would like to encourage the participation of or outreach to entities based in countries without a space tradition. The involvement of postgraduate researchers is also encouraged. And what is very important for us is a business plan and evidence of user engagement. So this is something which is really compulsory and which shall be provided as part of the proposal to demonstrate the user need and sustainability of the project. Proposals addressing PRS, the Public Regulated Service, are not in the scope of the action, and proposals under these topics should exploit synergies and be complementary to national activities and activities funded by ESA. Let me also come to the EGNSS downstream call topics we are planning for next year, for 2022. I would like to focus in particular on two EGNSS related calls. The first one is on EGNSS applications for smart mobility with a budget of 9.5 million euro, an innovation action. And the second one is a pre-commercial procurement action for the public sector as Galileo and or Copernicus user with an indicative budget of 5.2 million euro. What you see here displayed in the list is the full range of space application topics in the 22 call. So we will have also actions in the field of Copernicus Downstream and GovSatcom, and we will have one international action, the one designing space-based downstream applications with international partners, which is also relevant for EGNSS. These four call topics will be presented in separate presentations by my colleagues. As regards the call topic EGNSS applications for smart mobility, our goal is to anchor EGNSS in long lead time markets, so in aviation, in maritime, in rail, in road, and in particular autonomous driving is very important as well for us. The objective of this call is to really promote larger demonstration and implementation projects to show the added value and benefit of EGNSS in these areas. The expected final TRL of the solution developed shall be between 7 and 9, and we are foreseeing an indicative budget of 9.5 million euro for this call topic. In addition, we are planning a pre-commercial procurement action on the topic of public sector as Galileo and or Copernicus user. Pre-commercial procurement is already being very much used and successfully used in other research and development areas of Horizon Europe, in particular in health, in the digital sector and in security. And we believe it can be very interesting as well for space, because in many cases public authorities are the main users of space applications, and this is why we would like to gain more experience with this instrument and have set up this call topic for 2022. As you see here also on the slide, the PCP action will be kept very open as regards the topic. So we are inviting projects from all possible topical areas using EGNSS and or Copernicus. And here again we are looking very much for synergies between the two if this is feasible. We are listing actually in the call text a number of areas where we think projects are particularly promising. Like mobility as a service, monitoring of infrastructure, crisis emergency management, civil security applications, and coastal area monitoring and modeling. But this is really an indicative list, and it is intended to serve as a guidance, but this is not a kind of final and closed list of topics which can be covered. What is very important in our view is that the proposals focus on clearly identified needs by public authorities and that they demonstrate a sustainable solution beyond the lifespan of the project. This call will open only in October 2022. This is why at this stage I will not go further into depth on it. But what I would like to inform you about is that we will really plan dedicated events to present the PCP instrument, the participation rules, the requirements, etc., so that you really will have all necessary information you need for this fairly new and complex instrument, and that the ground is being prepared for this. This brings me to the end of our dedicated EGNSS related space applications in Cluster 4. Where can you find the space applications research and development calls in Cluster 4? You can find them right at the very end of the Cluster 4 Horizon Europe work program under the point Indirectly Managed Actions. So you find a section here entitled Indirectly Managed Measures Delegated to ESA, and you find a point Indirectly Managed Actions Delegated to EUSPA. Why is this the case? Well, the new EU Space Program Agency, EUSPA, which is the successor of the former GSA, is now an independent agency with own statutes. So therefore, the actions are delegated to the EUSPA. However, you find all the information in the Horizon Europe work program on the call content. And the calls for proposals will be published on the EU funding and tenders portal, as this has been the case also for Horizon 2020. I have just presented to you our dedicated EGNSS Downstream R&D activities and calls. But there are also other opportunities for EGNSS in the Horizon Europe work programs. Actually, for the first time, the use of EGNSS and Copernicus has really been anchored very widely and systematically in the whole of Horizon Europe work program 21 and 22. So also in other areas like transport, climate, energy, health, agriculture, food security. So you can see at the policy level that here the importance of EGNSS and Copernicus has been highlighted in the Horizon Europe Strategic Plan for 21 to 24. And very concretely, we managed to anchor EGNSS and Downstream in more than 100 calls across all clusters in the Horizon Europe work program. What you will see is that in these calls, the mandatory use of EGNSS and Copernicus is foreseen, so really as an eligibility criterion. And it says here in these calls, if projects use satellite-based Earth observation, positioning, navigation, and/or related timing data and services, beneficiaries must make use of Copernicus and/or Galileo Egnss. Other data and services may additionally be used. So this is really a very strong wording in order to ease your life there. We have produced a list of these calls in all the different Horizon Europe areas in which EGNSS and Copernicus play a role, which is published on the EUSPA website. And on the right side, you find the link to this list included. If you're an SME and you're looking for R&D support, please check also the opportunities offered by the European Innovation Council. As you may know, the European Innovation Council was established with Horizon Europe and provides support to innovations with a breakthrough character and a disruptive nature and scale-up potential. There are various instruments available, the Pathfinder, the Transition Instrument, and the EIC Accelerator, which are covering the different TRL levels from 1 to 8, bridging the gap from the idea to the market. And I think these instruments can be really very beneficial for innovative, disruptive SMEs in space, and would like to invite you to consider using them as well. What is interesting is that the EIC Accelerator instrument is also open to individual companies, so you don't need necessarily to build a consortium to benefit from the EIC Accelerator. If you're looking for further information on the EIC opportunities for space SMEs, we would like to invite you to an online workshop we are organizing together with EUSPA colleagues and the colleagues from the EIC. This workshop will take place on Wednesday, 30th of June, from 3 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And we are planning to have a presentation on the EIC instruments with a specific focus on space, and lessons learned and experience shared from previous EIC winners in the area of space. So we will have presentations from them, and you will have the opportunity to ask questions. If you are interested to join, please take a look at the enclosed registration link here on the right side, where you find as well the agenda and further information. With this, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. I hope the information was useful for you, and I hope it encouraged you to submit a proposal.
Hello everyone, my name is Francesco Barbato. I'm a policy officer in DG DEFIS at the European Commission. DG DEFIS stands for Defense, Industry and Space, and I'm here to introduce two topics in this presentation from Horizon Europe's 2022 work program. The two topics are Horizon EUSPA 2022, Space 0254, Copernicus Downstream Applications and the European Data Economy, and these are innovation actions, and the topic Horizon EUSPA 2022, Space 0255, Large-Scale Copernicus Data Uptake with Artificial Intelligence and High-Performance Computing, and these are research and innovation actions. Both topics are part of Horizon Europe's Cluster 4, and in particular of the space destination, that in full is called Open Strategic Autonomy in Developing, Deploying and Using Global Space-Based Infrastructures, Services, Applications and Data. I will now introduce the topic Horizon EUSPA 2022, Space 0254, Copernicus Downstream Applications and the European Data Economy. This topic is calling for innovation action projects. Now, the main motivation behind this topic is the fact that the Commission wants to boost the exploitation of Copernicus, and in particular Copernicus data assets, which are released on a free and open data license. So these data assets are free for everybody to use and reuse, either for commercial applications or for research. No difference is made. Anything can be done with these data assets. Now, it is important, according to the European data strategy, that Europe strengthen its position as a provider of innovative products and services which are based on data, because this enables new market opportunities. And actually, I would like to frame this topic very well within the data strategy of the Union that was published in February 2020. And I would invite everybody who are interested in submitting a proposal to this topic to actually take a look at the strategy, as it provides useful hints for integrating data assets coming from one given domain with other domains of the economy. Now, as I said, Copernicus data assets are released for everybody to use and reuse, and these are produced in very large quantities. Not only they are produced in very large quantities in excess of tens of petabytes every year, but these are scientifically validated data that are qualitative data that are really fit for being used in applications that would lead to market uptake. And it is also important to notice that the operations of these satellites are continuous and they are actually foreseeable over time. So the flow of this data will continue over the next several years without any interruption. And this is also important if we want to stimulate market uptake of these data assets into the real economy. Now, as I said again, these large quantities of data require modern ICT technologies in order to make them work and make them actionable. And what I refer to are, of course, big data technologies and artificial intelligence in their widest and widest declinations. The vertical domains that a project could target are very many. And here in the slide, there are a few examples. And I invite everybody to look not only at the most traditional ones, which are of course welcome as applications, but also to the ones that are not as traditional as agriculture or environmental monitoring. But look into market opportunities that are open, that have not been occupied yet on the competitive landscape. So the benefit, what we want to do with this call is transfer the benefit of Copernicus to many vertical domains, and we want to do so by adopting the framework of the European data economy. What do we expect from project proposals submitted under this topic? Well, first of all, let me give you an important reminder. We are calling here for innovation actions. So the first thing that we don't expect is for projects to do research in these kind of actions. So what we are supporting here is the development of applications that use state-of-the-art mature technologies to develop and deliver new products and services. New applications which are based on Copernicus data assets, but also on its services products, which are also actually information products, data that are delivered under the same license that I described before, open and free. So what we are targeting here is for innovations, is for products and services that have at their core the reuse of Copernicus data assets, which are integrated, if relevant, with other data coming from other domains. And this is actually quite a recognized fact that data become more useful and more valuable when they are integrated with other data themselves. And the same is true here for Copernicus data assets. A certain number of things we can do with this data standalone, but a number of other things we can do if we integrate them in other data value chain. And these are the kind of things that we are supporting. So again, to put it in other words, the development of new and improved applications based on Copernicus data assets at the core of data value chains. Which data value chains is free for you to decide, but we are calling for a very robust market approach here. So whatever applications you want to develop and you want to propose in these project proposals, it will need to be substantiated by real market needs and market drives, which will need to be actually substantiated by business plans, if you want, that will need to be fully developed if you are selected as a project, but we'll definitely want to see the main elements and the main drives and a draft of it, if you want, in the project proposal itself. So industrial requirements, user requirements that will drive the actions are extremely important. I would say as important as the ICT technologies and the innovations that you will use to exploit this kind of data assets and to power the applications themselves. Being these applications targeted to market uptake, they need to be user-friendly, they need to work at the scale of the large quantities of data that are involved. So they need to be applications that would serve the needs of the users that you will bring together with the developers, the IT developers, into the projects. We expect these project proposals to be between 2 and 3 million euro in size, but they need to be fit for purpose. And we are also inviting for innovation actions, as I said, and since we are very serious about market uptake, we would like TRL 8 to be reached by the end of the project. For this call, we have available up to 9.6 million euro. I will now introduce topic EUSPA 2022, Space 0255, Large-Scale Copernicus Data Uptake with Artificial Intelligence and High-Performance Computing. So if you want, this topic serves the same motivation as the previous topic, number 54, as to the Commission wants to boost the use and reuse of Copernicus and its data assets. In this topic, we are taking a different approach, if you want, more forward-looking than topic 54. Here we're calling for research and innovation actions. Now, the problem they were trying to solve here is twofold, converging into basically solving the same challenge. Copernicus data are becoming increasingly big in size. Copernicus Sentinel satellites are acquiring tens of petabytes every year, which are being stuck into data archives, which are available for everybody to use. Now, in order to make sense of all that kind of information that is contained in Copernicus data and in its own archives, we need suitable technologies such as artificial intelligence and big data to analyze them and to manage them. Now, a lot has been done over the course of the past few years, also thanks to the funding made available through Horizon 2020 by the European Union, and we want to continue here this path in Horizon Europe. The problem has been addressed, but it's not been solved. So here we want to provide an opportunity to research and innovate, again, following some meaningful industrial requirement, so that we can make these projects more meaningful and more exploitable by industry. So very important for this topic. This is research, yes, but this is research done according to identified user needs. Now, in addition to processing these large quantities of data and having the right technologies available to make this happen, we also need to solve another connected challenge, that is being able to connect the data assets that are contained into the archives, which are growing every day in size, to the European data economy. Oftentimes, these archives are still data silos that offer only limited discoverability, querying, and linking possibilities. With this call, we would like to address these issues to allow for a full exploitation of the data archives and data stores of Copernicus. And in order to do so, we would like research to be done in technologies such as artificial intelligence in their widest possible declinations, and, for examples, adopting linked open data paradigms to open up the full potential of these archives to the world and to other data and to other domains of the economy, also more advanced than Earth observation in terms of supporting infrastructures, so that we can meaningfully connect and integrate Copernicus data assets to other domains of the economy. And here, this is what we write in the third bullet point. We would like to connect Earth observation data to the European data spaces. The concept of the European data spaces has been introduced in the data strategy of the Union that was published in February 2020, and you will find online. And I would strongly recommend for all people interested in this topic to take a look at the data strategy of the Union as a whole, because that will provide interesting hints on the very scope of why we're doing these topics. With this topic, we are looking for two distinct kinds of projects. The first one is going to address the first problem that I described before, that has to do with the processing of large quantities of Copernicus data. So here we're calling for research or innovation actions that will develop new and innovative products and services which are designed together with industrial partners that have a stake in the exploitation of these products and services. These products and services will have at their core Copernicus data assets, as I said, very important, but here we are very much interested in very large quantities of Copernicus data, scaling up to the size of Copernicus archives. So here we're not interested in processing small batches of data, small batches of Copernicus images, but we want to make sure that the power of the technologies and their development that is object of this call will support the largest possible exploitation of Copernicus data archives. And in order to do so, we would like the proposers to not only work on artificial intelligence and big data technologies, but also support their work through high-performance computing, as these facilities are becoming more available throughout Europe, also thanks to the European strategies in this field. And very importantly as well, the integration of Copernicus data assets with other distributed data sources from other industrial domain is an important feature of what we're looking for here, because it's with the integration of Copernicus data assets into larger data value chains that the most of the value will be extracted from the data themselves. The second kind of projects that we are developing is to address the second challenge that I described before, and this has to do with the operational infrastructures that support Copernicus and Earth observation data more in general. So this has to do with the access and discoverability of the data, and of course the information that is contained into the data. We need these infrastructures to be able to be searched in a machine-to-machine modality, so that searches coming from the wider web of data can connect to Copernicus infrastructures and Earth observation infrastructures more in general. Today, these kind of possibilities are very limited, but other domains of the economy demonstrates that these kind of solutions are possible and successful. So we would like to bring to par Earth observation data infrastructures to others to make sure that Copernicus data assets can be meaningfully integrated in their own large quantities within the wider web of data. And for this kind of challenge, we envision that proposers can address either individual elements of the value chain or the value chain as a whole. Again, it's very important that all these solutions will be well beyond the state of the art. As here we're calling for research and innovation actions, which are quantitatively described in the project proposal. So how much beyond the state of the art will this solution go with respect to what's possible today? We expect these project proposals to be between 2 and 3 million euro in size. We expect these project proposals to reach TRL 5 by the end of the project. And for these research and innovation actions, we have available an overall budget of 9.6 million euro.
Hello, welcome to the Horizon Europe Info Day. I'm Astrid Koch. I'm working in the international unit of DG DEFIS, and I'm going to discuss with you a little bit and showcase the international topic which we have for the work program 2022. So the topic we are going to see together is the topic Designing Space-Based Downstream Applications with International Partners. So it's an international cooperation topic, and we are going to see the objectives, outcome of the call, the scope of the specific call, and what we'd like to see in the proposal, and the encouragements we do, how and who should be in the proposal. So let's start with the topic. It's called Horizon USPA 2022 Space 0256, better known as Designing Space-Based Downstream Applications with International Partners. It's a research and innovation action. So it's about cooperation with international partners. So we would like to really promote the uptake of satellite navigation, as well as uptake of Copernicus globally to international partners, with international partners, to look at ways how to benefit from our flagship space program components. You may have seen that the Copernicus has a full, free and open data policy, and we would like to see proposals who support that and generate a broader user base, and to really see and facilitate the access of Copernicus data and information to interested international partners. For your information, the Copernicus program has administrative cooperation arrangements on data exchange with dedicated partners. These are based on reciprocity, so we get something from those partners to make Copernicus better. That may be Earth observation data or in situ data. And these countries at the moment, and we are now talking summer 2021, are the United States, Australia, Ukraine, Chile, Colombia, Serbia, African Union, India, and Brazil. You might ask why these countries. It's because they have proactively come up to you, to us at the Commission and the Copernicus program to say we would like to work with you and we would like to give something to the Copernicus program. So now let's look at the objectives. The objectives should be generating solutions for local market, especially for a local market outside Europe, using EU space technologies, be it Egnss as an enabler, being Copernicus as an enabler, and provide new, improved, add-on products, processes, and services. And to make sure that we are using the excellence we have and the knowledge and the professionalism of our people in SMEs and universities to maximize and spread the benefits of space-based applications and solutions using Copernicus and Egnss data and services, and to use that for really enhanced market uptake. Again, this is an international topic. The importance is that we create partnerships with non-EU entities, and the idea is to do via market opening towards commercialization. So this should be a topic where you really have something to commercialize and where it's user-driven. So where is a need or opening for your specific application. And then, of course, its basis is to make sure that we are really building on the capacity and awareness raising abroad what Copernicus and Egnss applications and solutions can do outside Europe, and to make sure that our programs and the excellence we have in those programs are really known and for example, used for a better product and for better use. So now look at the expected outcomes. The outcomes have 3 high-level outcomes. These are one on EGNSS, one on Copernicus, and one on combined use of EGNSS and Copernicus. So for EGNSS, we would like to really use Galileo differentiators, the high accuracy, the authentication, and the EU know-how to really introduce the EU space-based applications to be used with public and private entities. And for Copernicus is to use the Copernicus data and maybe join it with other data to create dedicated services and products for local user needs and to enhance Copernicus global product quality. And of course, you can use GNSS and Copernicus together, for example, precision agriculture or other opportunities to develop innovative downstream applications using positioning, navigation, and timing with Earth observation services. That said, you do not need to have a proposal for all the 3 topics. You can target one of the 3 expected outcomes. So that means you can have your proposals on EGNSS or on Copernicus or on combining EGNSS and Copernicus. You do not get extra points by combining EGNSS and Copernicus. You make sure that you have an excellent proposal, wonderful impact, and a complementary team. And that's important. So you should include space-based assets and non-space assets and really include international partner. But I think that that's clear. And that the action should really focus on technical developments of EU space-based applications and solutions, and to provide opportunities for the creation of business-oriented partnerships with European industry, with international partners. So I think that's quite explanatory here. Important is, and that is also important for your consortium, you need to achieve the critical mass to demonstrate the advantages and differentiators, and to make sure that you have an attractive option for your users, and that's our public authorities, private industries, and investors. So be it attractive, have a nice, wonderful new solution based on space-based data and services. So what do we like to see in the proposal? For the topics itself, we're quite open. But if you are considering a proposal for EGNSS, it's important to see that we encourage you to have relevant players of the European side in the consortium. These are the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, the European Satellite Service Providers or Member States Air Navigation Service Providers for Egnss Safety and Life Service to Aviation, the European Maritime Safety Agency, ERA, or other transport. And we like to see, you don't have to have everybody, but make sure that you have the relevant agencies and players in your proposal. And of course, talked a lot about industry. It's important that we really, really encourage you to have industry involved in the specific SMEs. Participation is really encouraged. If you're thinking about a proposal for Copernicus, it's important that you have at least one partner from a country that has signed a cooperation. I'll talk about later. So that's important, then we really encourage you to use the DIASys, the Copernicus Data Information Access Services, as a platform for doing the data processing. So it's a great opportunity to use a European tool for the processing of your project. And we encourage you to fuse and assimilate the data from Copernicus with third-party data and make dedicated value-add models and new products. Important is also that we encourage you to involve partners involved in international GEO-related initiative. GEO stands for the Group on Earth Observation. And again, here also important, we really encourage you to have industry in your consortia, especially SMEs. So here comes some data. For this call topic, there is a total indicative budget of 5.1 million foreseen. And we are expecting contribution between 1 and 1.5 million. It should not all be 1.5 million, but please make sure that your proposal has, the budget really explain why you need which kind of money for this. It's important to do that when you write the proposal. And the type of action is a research and innovation action. And when I tell you that we are looking for market opportunities, it's important that it's research and innovation. So the emphasis here is really on innovation. The conditions for eligibility are in Annex, General Annex B. But we need to say that concerning the cooperation arrangements, there is a nice thing which I'm going to read to you is, due to the scope of this topic, legal entities established in countries that have signed an administrative cooperation arrangement on Copernicus data access and Earth observation data exchange are exceptionally eligible for union funding. So these are currently the United States, Australia, Ukraine, Chile, Colombia, Serbia, African Union, India, and Brazil. So we are talking today, it's summer 2021. Until 2022, we might have additional countries. Currently, it's not very likely because we still are under Corona conditions. But if that's the case, if we have more countries, we will make sure that you get that in the eligible conditions as soon as that changes. But at the moment, please have a look. These are the countries which are eligible for this funding in the proposal. Again, on the technology readiness level, they're expected to achieve TRL 2 to 3 at the end of the project. Please look at the General Annex B. So that is a very short overview of the topic, designing space-based downstream applications with international partners. So I know after this session, there will be opportunities for question and answers. And I know that my dear colleagues will also put any updates and more information when it's ready on the website for the proposer. So thank you very much for going through the slides with me. And I wish you all the best and good luck for your proposal writing. And I hope you're successful to participate in the Horizon Europe program. Thank you so much.
So thank you to the presenters for the recorded videos. I hope it wasn't too long for the audience, but I hope also that there was enough information contained in there. All the details, of course, you find in the work program as always. There have been a couple of questions in the meantime coming in, and I will address 2 questions myself and then hand over to colleagues. So there was one question on UK partners if they're eligible to participate. So UK have the Union and the UK has a cooperation and called TCA, Trade and Cooperation Agreement, which includes association to EU programs such as Horizon Europe. I think there are still some details to flesh out, but it's certain that they will be associated, UK will be associated to Horizon Europe, and in all likelihood before the end of the call and before the signature of grant agreements. Now, if there are specific topics, of course, not in this particular batch of topics, but in the previous one, access to space and so on, where some associated countries may not be eligible depending on the guarantees provided and so on. So that's another issue, but in principle, of course, UK is eligible to participate. There was the other question about Swiss partners. Okay, let's see where I find that question. Yes, are there shortcomings to be expected when involving Swiss partners as core exploitation partners, transformation potential to core EU countries, outcome levels, and so on? So that topic specifically, I will leave to my colleagues to address, but in general, for Switzerland, they have been associated, as you know, to Horizon 2020, but not from the beginning. It took some time, and for Switzerland and the EU to agree on the association agreement for Horizon 2020. And the situation today for Horizon Europe is that association to Horizon Europe was part of the integrated agreement with Switzerland. And unfortunately, Switzerland unilaterally withdrew from those agreements a couple of weeks ago or a month ago. So there are no negotiations or discussions right now on the association of Switzerland to Horizon Europe. Hopefully that will come, but we don't know. So it's uncertain for the moment. But still Switzerland can participate in almost all topics which are not limited, as a third country without EU funding. And the situation in the beginning of Horizon 2020, for those who remember, was that they participated with the Swiss national funding. But that's a Swiss decision to take if they provide funding or not. We don't know at this stage. So any consortium considering to involve Swiss partners need either to make sure the organization or the company has their own money, or that they have somehow been reassured from their authorities that they will be funded. But this is a Swiss decision. We cannot interfere or know anything about what's going on there for the moment. We hope that things will be sorted out in due time with the association, but that's still, timing is still unknown. Now, there were a few specific questions on the topics that were just described in this video. So I will hand over to Tina Mede first, my colleague, and then colleagues in the European Space Program Agency. Perhaps first, before doing that, just a reminder, it was mentioned in the video of a workshop that's taking place tomorrow, EIC Opportunities for Space SMEs in the afternoon. And for those of you who are interested, please consult, Google EIC Opportunities for Space SMEs, or go to the website euspa.europa.eu and find all the information there to join a couple of hours in the afternoon tomorrow. Could be very interesting. Tina maybe wants to add something. So I hand over to Tina. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mats. Yes, and thank you for announcing this workshop. I think it could really be very interesting. What we plan to do is to present there the EIC instruments, which could be very interesting for space companies, in particular SMEs. And we will also have company representatives there from space who have used these instruments in the past and who will share the experience. So you're very welcome to join the event. We received a number of questions on the presentation, and I will start with the answers. The first question was related to the European Green Deal call and the farm to fork activities there. There was the specific questions, is it possible to have a 4-year project? So actually, in our call text, we are giving indicative information. And this information is that the project duration is usually between 24 and 36 months we are looking for. But if you have really very good reasons and you provide these reasons to us why a longer project duration is necessary, then this is well possible. Because basically, as I said, we are giving indicative information there, so you can go beyond this if you have good reasons. The second question was on the deadline of the calls we have in 21. So the deadline we have here for the Green Deal call, for the digital call, and for the safety-related call is the 16th of February 2022 for all the 3 call topics. We received another question on the digital call topic. And the question was, does the topic also address enabling technologies for the better use and integration of applications for the digital age? And yes, I can confirm it does. So basically, we are supporting the development of eGNSS-based solutions, and they may integrate also other technologies, including enabling technologies. And we finally had the question here, is it a problem if no satellite Earth observation is used? I suppose the question is related to the European Green Deal call. Actually, what we want to do is really to promote the use of eGNSS and of Copernicus, and to promote also the synergies. So in this call, the projects can either focus on using eGNSS, or they focus on using Copernicus data, or they focus on using both. So in principle, what could be possible is that your project then focuses on using eGNSS and is using, in addition to this non-satellite based Earth observation, this would be the only possibility I see. But otherwise, I mean, really, our objective is to increase the synergies and the use of Copernicus. So this is something which is basically in the foreground of our call here. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. I would like to also reply, because there was one question regarding the EUSPA topic. I believe it is 0251, when it comes to the limit of number of pages in the proposal, when there is a condition to have also the business plan. So for the business plan, there is a separate template, and therefore it doesn't count in the page limit for the proposal as such. It is on top of that, and the page limit for the business plan is 10 pages. And it will be possible to download the template from the portal as you will be filling in the application. Thank you.
I think we have covered everything, no?
Oh, yes, I think so too. Let me see now. Let's go through quickly. There was, yes, I think we covered all the questions. There have been numerous questions about the deadline for the call, and I think we can confirm, subject to final decision, but I mean, it's in all likelihood the deadline will be the same for this EUSPA 2021 call as for the other calls that we described earlier, and namely 16th of February 2022. This you will of course need to monitor the funding and tenders portal to see that at the time when you prepare the proposal clearly, but this is the idea that it should have the same deadline. The 2022 EUSPA call will be 1 year later, just so you know. Okay, I think.
Hi, here's Astrid. I
yes.
just see there's a question on the topic 56, which is the international one. So when a top proposal does not cover Copernicus, of course, the exception doesn't apply. So the general rules of eligibility and so on will apply. So that means they will also not get extra funding or something. It's only for the Copernicus related topics in that call.
Very good. Thank you, Astrid, for that. There's one question for Francesco here, I think.
Yes, so there is a question concerning if the EU is interested in the digitization of space and the space industry, and if so, which calls are the closest one to support these activities? So, of course, we are very much, and you heard both in calls that my colleague Tina has presented and the one that I have presented, that they are heavy on digitization and the uptake of modern digital technologies such as data technologies, artificial intelligence, but also high performance computing to some degrees. So this relates to the downstream part of space, but in the topic that I presented, that is topic EUSPA 2022 Space 0255, large-scale Copernicus data uptake with AI and HPC, there is also an infrastructural part for the ground segments, for example, and for the data archives. So yes, we are interested in that, and you will find in these topics that have just been presented the place where you can actually look into for submitting a proposals in those areas.
Okay, very good. I think we are. I don't think we have any more questions coming in through Slido. Can you verify, Francesco? So unless that's the case that we get more, let's see. Okay, there's something more. Okay, yeah, there was a previous question actually on the previous block of topics. Because we have the 2021 and 2022 call that is not the EUSPA call, but one on competitiveness and access to space, etc. That the 21 and 22 have the same deadline. So what about the topic 11 on the future space ecosystems? There are two calls at the same time. Are they linked so that one needs to come before the other? No. The 2021 call topic 11 on future space ecosystem and the one in 2022 on a similar topic are not directly linked in that sense. They are independent of each other. Of course, at a later stage, this will feed into a project coming up, most likely in the 2024 work program, but that's another story for the future. So there is no timing problem between these two calls with the same deadline. Well, I mean, there's this question about Switzerland as a core exploitation partner. I don't know if my colleague wanted to come in there, or because generally speaking, of course, there is the general issue with Switzerland that their association to Horizon Europe is not clear if and when it will happen. So that's a risk. They can participate on their own funding. Normally, there has been no problem with the Swiss participants and with having Swiss exploitation partners and so on and so forth. So this is something to be assessed, I would say, by the consortium, by the applicants, and explained in the proposal, because there's always, I mean, risk with any partner from anywhere, and if Switzerland is associated, they should be treated as a member state. Switzerland is not associated; there'll be a third country, and of course, the risk is slightly then could be increased. One could say. I don't know if anyone wants to add something there.
Thank you, Mats. I think from EUSPA side, we basically follow the general annexes of Horizon Europe, so there is nothing to add really from our side. I hope that Switzerland can become associated country as soon as possible, but we will follow the Horizon Europe rules. Thank you.
Good, thank you very much. Astrid, you have two questions here on participation in the international topic downstream applications with companies from Switzerland, with companies from Asia, Japan in particular, and from Belarus. Do they have a cooperation agreement?
No, well, we need to distinguish here. If you want to participate in the call, be it Copernicus related, GNSS related, it's open to partners around the world as the normal eligibility rules. So that means a company from Japan can participate, an entity from Belarus can participate. That said, if you have a topic for Copernicus, you need to have at least one entity in addition who is who is a participant from a country where we have a cooperation arrangement. So, for example, if you have a team with Belarus, you need at least a partner from Australia or United States or Chile extra to have that extra, to have a partner country participant. But in addition, you can have as much other participants from other countries. And only that partner who has this cooperation arrangement, meaning the partner from Chile or from the US or from Australia, will get the funding. So it's not that the Belarusian partner or the company from Japan will get funding from the program. Hopefully that was clear. So there's another question. Well, I think it's for the African Union. So if you participate of a country from the African Union, well, at least it's always good, and I think that's clear for every single partner, is to make sure that you have the dedicated legal document for the preparation of the proposal ready, and you have those documents uploaded and available. So that I think it's clear that you have a really a genuine partner for your proposal. Otherwise, it will not be even considered for evaluation. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. There are no more questions coming in. I think we're also exactly, or more or less exactly, a few minutes delayed compared to our time schedule. So we should move on to the next block of activities and videos, this time addressing Copernicus service evolution. Copernicus service evolution with the addition of a topic on quantum technologies for space gravimetry, since it's somehow a bit linked to Copernicus. We put it in the same batch. The main focus of this session or sub-session will be on Copernicus service evolution, and we will run the videos now then. Thank you very much.
Quantum technology for space gravimetry. The objective of this topic is to foster the development of a new type of space gravimeters based on quantum technology. Quantum technology for space gravimetry is very promising and requires the enhancements of the gravimeter components TRL. As well, given the importance of this technology for the EU, this topic also aims at ensuring the EU non-dependence in this field. End-to-end satellite communication systems and associated services. The objective of this topic is to foster the development of the technology for end-to-end satellite communication systems and services. Given the criticality of this field for the EU, one of the objectives is to allow the EU non-dependence in the SATCOM business. The scope of this topic also covers quantum technologies for satellite communication, in particular quantum key distribution, as well as RNI for various components of a SATCOM infrastructure.
Welcome to this info session on the EU Research and Innovation Programme Horizon Europe. My name is Cristina Nanasso. I work in DG DEFI, Earth Observation Unit, dealing with the Copernicus program. In the next slide, I will present the Copernicus Services Evolution Call for the Work Programme 2021 and later on 2022. These topics are under the destination Open Strategic Autonomy in Developing, Deploying and Using Global Space-Based Infrastructure, Services, Application and Data. The main goal of all the topics under this call on Copernicus Services Evolution is to guarantee the relevant research support to the evolution of all the services. In these first 2 years, there is one topic for each service, except for security and emergency, that are going to have a joint topic, and one additional topic on 2 more cross-cutting thematic domains. Let's start with the first topic, number 41, that is related to the Copernicus Climate Change Service Evolution. The expected outcomes for all these topics are quite similar, and the main concept is really to support the improvement of the existing services. In this case, specifically, there is also an additional outcome that is to complement the challenges targeted by the Horizon Europe mission on adaptation to climate change, including societal transformation. Another expected outcome is the development of efficient and reliable new products chains, addressing specifically data fusion, data processing, and data visualization. And also the development of new algorithm and processing chains to prepare for the use of new types of space observation data, being them from the new Sentinel or other contributing mission or ESA Earth Explorer mission. The research and innovation areas addressed in this topic are the new and innovative coupled data assimilation method to improve the next generation of global and regional reanalysis in the climate consistency of Earth system reanalysis dataset, and underpinning science in predictability of new and innovative multimodal products generation to improve the realism of the current generation of climate prediction model. The specific conditions for this topic are reported in this slide. Expected EU contribution are between 10 million and 11 million, with an indicative budget of 11 million. This is a research and innovation action to achieve at the end of the project a technology readiness level of 5 or 6. The selection procedure will select at maximum 1 project. The second topic, number 42, is related to the Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Service Evolution, and as before, the expected outcome is the enhancement of the quality and efficiency of the current service, the development of new products chains, mainly focusing on data fusion, data processing, and data visualization, and the development of new algorithm and processing chains, preparing for the use of new types of space Earth observation data, being them Sentinels, other contributing mission, or for example the ESA Earth Explorer mission. The scope of this topic has identified 2 main areas of research and innovation: the data simulation of atmospheric composition satellite observation to expand the use of satellite data stream in the service, both at global and regional level. to improve the quality of the reactive gases and the aerosol information products. And the second area is new methods and measurement for quantifying uncertainties for atmospheric composition products. The specific condition for this topic foreseen EU contribution between 6 million and 7.5 million with an indicative budget for the project of 7.5 million. The type of action is a research and innovation action, and the technology readiness level to be reached at the end of the project is 5 or 6. The Commission intends to fund only one project. The third one is number 43 and is the Copernicus Security and Emergency Services Evolution. Also in this case, the expected outcome are the enhancement of the quality and efficiency of the services. In this case, the idea is to significantly improve the resolution, detection capability, timely access to data, and delivery of information that are quite important for these two services that work in a near real-time context. It's also very important to improve the integration of non-space data, and that can bring added value at operational level. The processing chains should better handle the increasing volume of satellite data, and for example, using new methods in data fusion, processing, and automation to match user increasing expectation in added value, easiness of access, and visualization. The scope of the topic has identified one main area of research, that is the timeliness access to data, the need to reduce the gap between user needs and service provision, and to enlarge the range of users that can have access to these services at both regional and local level. The specific condition for this topic foreseen an EU contribution between 4 and 5 million with an indicative budget of 5 million. This action is a research and innovation action, and in this case there are some eligibility conditions that has an impact on the legal entities that can apply for this topic. The project should achieve a technology readiness level of 5 or 6 by the end of the project itself, and also in this case only one project will be funded. Topic number 44 is the Copernicus evolution for cross-services thematic domains. The overall expected outcome also in this case is to enhance the quality of the current services and to better exploit all the Copernicus core services with a significant improvement in the coordination and integration of data and products between them. These services and the application that can be developed under this topic should support new policies and should address observational and information gaps. There should be also a consideration of a wide range of user needs and of potential analysis on potential accessibility limitation. The two main areas of research and innovation that were identified under this topic is the development of a proof of concept or a prototype with a Copernicus-based solution to improve the European capacity for monitoring and forecasting the Arctic areas, and the development of a proof of concept or prototype based on Copernicus to improve the European capacity for monitoring the UN Sustainable Development Goals indicators. The specific condition for this topic foreseen an EU contribution per project of around 5.6 million, with an indicative budget of 3 million. Also in this case, this is a research and innovation action with the idea to achieve a TRL 5 or 6 by the end of the project. Let's see now the topic in the work program for 2022, always related to the Copernicus services evolution. The first topic for 2022 is on the Copernicus Marine Environment Monitoring Service evolution. The expected outcomes are quite similar to the ones foreseen in 2021. And the main expected outcome is to enhance the quality and efficiency of the service and complementing them with the challenges targeted by the Horizon Europe mission on healthy ocean, seas, coastal and inland water, and can also contribute to the initiative United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. Then the project should develop an efficient and reliable new product chains focusing on data fusion, data processing, and data visualization, and also should prepare the service for the use of new types of Earth observation data. The research and innovation area identified for the scope of this topic is the development of a new and innovative models for marine ecosystem monitoring and related biogeochemistry. Some specific domain will be the exploitation of the dynamics of the biological component of the ocean in terms of fauna and flora. For example, how this marine living component behaves in relation to the ocean physics, temperature, currents, sediments, and so on. Biochemistry composition, in particular the plankton to fish links, and how climate change and man-made pressures can impact on the ecosystem. For the specific condition, the expected contribution is between 8 million and 10 million, and the indicative budget is 10 million. Also in this case, this is a research and innovation action to achieve a TRL level by the end of the project of 5 or 6. Also in this case, only one project will be funded. Another topic for 2022 is the Copernicus anthropogenic CO2 emission monitoring and verification support capacity. The main outcome in this case is the continuation of the setup of the new Copernicus element for the monitoring of the anthropogenic CO2 emissions. The areas of research and innovation foreseen in the scope of this topic is to develop new and innovative methodologies to improve the definition of the correlation between emission of co-emitted species, CO2, NO2, CO, and methane, in support of the CO2 fossil fuel emission estimation. And the second research area is to develop new and innovative methods to better use auxiliary observations such as the radiocarbon, the solar-induced fluorescence, and the atmospheric potential oxygen to separate the anthropogenic CO2 emission from the natural variability of the CO2. Specific condition for this topic. The expected contribution, EU contribution, is from 5 to 6 million, and the indicative budget is 6 million. This is a research and innovation action to achieve a TRL 5 or 6 by the end of the project. Also, in this case, only one project will be funded. Last topic for Copernicus is the Copernicus Land Monitoring Service, and again, also in this case, the main goal is to enhance the quality and efficiency of the current service to respond to new policy or user requirement and also to technological development. Also in this case, there should be addressed development of new products chains and preparing for the use of new type of space observation data. The research and innovation area is to develop new and innovative methods to combine and explore data with different spatial and temporal characteristics using automatic processing for land cover status change assessment. And the idea is to support the automatic processing approaches for real and near real-time data processing to concretely respond to emerging European policy needs. Specific condition for this topic: the expected EU contribution per project is between 4 and 5 million, and the indicative budget is 5 million. This project is a research and innovation action to achieve a TRL 5 or 6 by the end of the project, and only one project will be funded. Thank you for your attention.
Hello again, everyone, from my side as well. I'm taking over the moderation for my colleague Mats. So we have seen this block of presentations on Copernicus services and on the space gravimetry. So at the moment, we don't have any questions on this block of topics coming in from Slido. If anyone wants to ask any question, please be quick on Slido before we transition to the next and final block of presentations. So maybe we can wait for a minute and see if there is anybody who is brave enough to ask questions to my colleagues, Frédéric Dons and Cristina Nanasso. So in the meantime, maybe I can answer again to one of the questions that was previously answered. So there was the question on the call of education, which we thought my colleague Mavi had already answered, and she actually did, on the availability of material from the tender issued by the GDFIS last year. So we can assume that material produced by that project will be made available to the new project. So we answer again. In the meantime, I see no other questions coming in. Again, 30 seconds before we go to the next block. In the meantime, I can announce what the next block will contain. So this will be a block of presentations of topics managed by our colleagues in ADEA that will present by my colleague Mats Lundqvist. So we are going to have competition and competitiveness and cross-cutting issues, end-to-end satellite communication systems and associated services, future space ecosystems, technologies and generic building blocks for electrical propulsion, end-to-earth observation systems and associated services, space technologies for European independence and competitiveness, space science and explorations technologies, space technologies for European non-dependence and competitiveness. Now, I see that there are no further questions, so I would propose that we transition smoothly to the next blocks of presentation. So if the technical masters can please launch the videos, we will convene again at the end of this block. Thank you.
Welcome to the presentation of the Space Research Program under Cluster 4, focusing here on space technology development for fostering competitiveness in the European space industry and the space sector in general. My name is Mats Ljungqvist. I work for European Commission, the Directorate General for Defense Industries and Space. This part of the work program is called Open Strategic Autonomy in Developing, Deploying and Using Global Space-Based Infrastructure Services, Applications and Data. And here we cover these 7 topics mentioned in the table that you see, covering diverse topics from satellite communication systems, future space ecosystems targeting on-orbit operations, technologies and building blocks for electrical propulsion, Earth observation systems, space technologies for European independence and competitiveness, and space science and exploration technologies. As you see also, these are topics that are present in the 2021 and the 2022 work program. But applicants do not need to worry about that. They both work programs, both calls 2021-2022 have the same opening date and closing dates. Opening date on the 28th of October 2021 and closing 16th February 2022, which is then the deadline for sending applications. These are the same deadlines as for all the other topics under this space destination. Starting with the various topics here, we go ahead with the satellite communication systems and associated services. I will have roughly 2 slides per topic showing the main points, but this text is the same as you find in the work program. The work program contains, of course, more details. Some of the topics also have additional documents giving further guidance to the applicant. I will mention when this is the case. The satellite communications topic, here we expect to, by 26-27, showcase secure, flexible, and competitive end-to-end systems by a ground demonstrator with disruptive development as well as maturation of key technologies up to technology readiness level 6 for high performance and secure communication systems. This will support the EU space policy in this area and pave the way for deployment of secure future quantum satellite communication capacity in the EU and contribute to EU non-dependence in this area as well. The scope is twofold. In the first area of the scope, we focus on secure quantum communication through the development of components for quantum satellite communication, as well as technologies and components necessary for quantum key distribution. Also on tools to simulate, control, and monitor those networks, and test beds or other systems used to simulate the space environment to test communication technology components in quantum. The second area of the scope is focusing on the more generic technologies, not necessarily linked to quantum, but SATCOM in general. So research and innovation on ground segment, infrastructures, protocols, virtual network and application functions, as well as networks including end-user terminals and equipment, handling of a new range of needs introduced by, for example, satellite constellations, increasing data rates, aspects of autonomy, etc., providing a resilient solution at reduced cost. So proposers here have to decide on one of those areas of the scope and apply only to that area. The table here will summarizes the main aspects of the specific conditions for this call topic. The expected contribution per project in terms of funding is 4 to 6 million. The overall budget is 12 million, so that means we expect to fund the 2 projects, covering together then the 2 areas of the scope. The eligibility condition mentioned in the topic specifies that the legal entities need to be established in member states, Iceland or Norway, or in future associated countries or candidate associated countries, which provide sufficient assurances concerning the protection of EU strategic assets, interest, autonomy, security. And this last condition here for us candidate associated countries is to be assessed during summer until September, and when there are further associated countries associated to Horizon Europe to be included in the scope, that will be realized through a contract, through a work program amendment during October before the opening of the call. More details are given here in the work program, so I refer the reader to the work program. The next topic on the list is future space ecosystems, on-orbit operations, new system concepts. The expected outcome here is to foster industrialization and business in space and support scientifically meaningful missions as well, with synergies with terrestrial sectors, to develop game-changing technologies, tools and processes, enhancing on-orbit servicing applications and contribute to the protection of the in-space future ecosystem, and a paradigm shift towards automated, flexible and economically viable space infrastructure. As you know, I mean, the traditional way of the space sector is to launch a large satellite with a long lifetime, relatively long lifetime, but we see now the increasing commercial viability of servicing existing satellites in orbit and making sure also to remove satellites which are not anymore operational from orbit. So these technologies will help towards this goal. The scope of the topic is mentioned here. We have 3 areas: research and innovation on a new scalable satellite platform concepts and building blocks to increase the degree of modularization of the satellites. So modularity here is a key word, which allows then in the future to replace discrete modules on the satellite in orbit. New on-orbit service concepts concentrating on business cases for the future, such as satellite recycling, transfer services, logistics, warehousing, etc. There are many others. And finally, research and innovation to identify and develop and implement artificial intelligence and Industry 4.0 means, such as virtual design, digital twins, virtual testing, leading to rapid development, production, and assembly integration testing. So proposals may address more than one area, but must indicate the main area to be the center of gravity of their proposal. For this topic, there will be a technical guidance document published very soon, and at any rate before the opening of the call. That will also be available through the funding and tenders portal of the Commission. This table here again summarizes the specific conditions. So expected contribution per project is 1 to 2 million funding. The indicative budget of the whole topic is 6 million. So we expect to fund 3 projects. It's a research and innovation action, and there will be a security assessment linked to the evaluation of proposals that could lead to decision to classify certain deliverables depending on the sensitivity. Technology readiness level 5 to 6 by the end of the project. The next topic is still on future space ecosystems, but this time preparing for orbital demonstration mission. So the expected outcome of this topic is to prepare such a European pioneering high-impact but low-cost orbital demonstration mission for on-orbit servicing in the 2025 to 2026 timeframe. This work builds on previous work in Horizon 2020, where we had a cluster of projects developing components and building blocks for space robotics that will be used here in if it fits. And we also finished in Horizon 2020 in the last call finished with a topic on a mission study A to B1. So A to B1, so it's concept and preliminary analysis. That will here in this 2022 call topic be followed on by a B2 to C mission study, then covering the further development, detailed design of such a mission. So the scope is really covering three areas. The B2 to C mission study for low-cost orbital demonstration mission, integrating those building blocks as was mentioned, and focusing on integrating robotics and autonomy technologies. To target also technology maturation up to TRL 6 of specific existing technologies that need to be further developed to make it into the mission. And thirdly, a satellite platform that should be compatible with the functional upgrade that comes later in phase D, enabled by modules connected to the platform using pre-existing standard interfaces that are referred to in the call text with the plug and play methodology. So here in this topic, there is a need for a technical guidance document that will be published ahead of the opening of the call, which will contain information about the pre-existing interfaces, for example, and other technologies and the context of the previous work. That should be taken into consideration and exploited where this is possible. There's also something that we call a European operations framework that is dealing with pre-standardization in this area. There is another topic in this work program called New Space Transportation Solutions and Services that also address some of the technologies that will be needed, like guidance, navigation, and control, and similar. So applicants specifically focusing on that should have a look at this other topic. We will fund one proposal that should cover then the full scope of the topic, 1, 2, and 3, as you see on this slide. And on the next slide, we find the total indicative budget of 26 million. One project, as mentioned, a research and innovation action. And given the area of on-orbit operations, there is a possibility that the sensitive technologies could be developed and that some deliverables of projects will need to be classified. So a security assessment is part of the evaluation of proposals, as for some other topics in the space domain. TRL level 6 by the end of the project for this technology maturation part. The next topic is about electric propulsion. Here, like for future space ecosystems, we have had a number of important projects funded in Horizon 2020, covering both both disruptive technologies, new technologies, and existing technologies, incremental development. So this is a continuation, one can say. The expected outcome is to strengthen European capacity to compete worldwide in this area with electric propulsion, which is currently a standard feature of modern satellites, and Europe is relatively well placed. Maturing technologies and generic building blocks. This is the focus of this particular topic, to go up to TRL 5-6 in technologies for electric propulsion, and also to support next generation industrial manufacturing processes in this area. And finally, preparing the evolution of electric propulsion systems in, for example, the the existing technologies of Hall effect thrusters, gridded ion engines, and high efficiency multi-stage plasma thrusters for different power classes, going from very low 0.3 kilowatt up to higher power class up to 20 kilowatt. This is described a little bit more in detail in the work program. Obviously, the scope is covering 3 areas that are mentioned here: generic building blocks for thruster components, electrical power architecture, so power systems is very important for electric propulsion systems and need to be integral part, fluidic management system and components. Proposals may address one or several of those above mentioned topics, including also next generation industrial manufacturing processes, and scope could include also preparation of a future IOD/IOV in-orbit demonstration mission. More technical information will be published in the form of a technical guidance document that will be available on the Funding and Tenders portal as soon as possible, but anyway before the opening of the call. That document will describe the context and also some previous work in electric propulsion that could be considered when preparing a proposal in this area. This table summarizes specific conditions. The expected contribution from the EU in terms of funding is 1 to 2 million per project. The indicative budget overall for the topic is just over 5 million. It's an innovation action. It's relatively a strong industrial interest, relatively close to the market. Securities are sensitive, so a security assessment is part of the proposal evaluation, and some deliverables may be determined to be in need of security classification or classification. TRL level, as mentioned, 5 to 6 by the end of the project, and with 1 to 2 million per project, 5 million funding, we expect to fund up to 3 projects in this domain. The next topic here on the list was end-to-end Earth observation systems and associated services. Earth observation in Europe is synonymous in many ways to Copernicus, and there is important development for Copernicus future satellites and sensors being done in the context of European Space Agency developments and also in industry. This topic is intended to complement by focusing on technologies which are not automatically included in Copernicus Earth observation. So by expected outcomes, as you see, by 2028, to have reactive, so short time lag, very high resolution Earth observation up to video, disruptive development and maturation of key technologies in supporting this expected outcome up to TRL 6, and to contribute to EU non-dependence in those technologies. A demonstrator mission by 2026-27 is possible and should focus on cost reduction, up to 50% cost reduction for submetric missions. Less than 50 centimeter resolution anywhere within 1 hour from the request is an ambitious target. Ground segment should be developed as well that meets those demands, which are specific. The scope of the topic are specified in 3 areas here. End-to-end systems addressing aspects such as enhanced autonomy, accelerating assembly integration and testing processes for small series production or medium series production. Second area is on observation payload, technologies and concept for detectors, sensors, both radar and optical and infrared. And the third area, scalable, automated, flexible, resilient multi-mission solutions for the ground segment, able to be adapted and operate in complex scenarios. So 3 areas of the scope, and the proposers should select or focus on one area only. To seek synergies with already funded projects in Horizon 2020 and be complementary, then as I mentioned, to the activities in ESA and to Copernicus technologies. The table again here for this topic, the expected EU contribution per project is 2 to 3 million. Overall budget for the topic just above 8 million. It's an innovation action, meaning up to 70% funding of direct costs. This is security assessment as part of the proposal evaluation to determine if some of the deliverables proposed by the project or by the applicants need to be considered for security, for classification. As you can imagine, high resolution or very high resolution Earth observation can be a sensitive technology. Technology readiness level 6 by the end of the project, and with this EU contribution per project and overall budget, the maximum number of projects we estimate is 3. So hopefully covering all 3 areas of the scope. The next topic to be covered here is the space technologies for European non-dependence and competitiveness. This topic is repeated in 2021-2022 calls with the same overall text, but with different technology areas mentioned. So I will cover that in one set of slides here. Expected outcome is to reduce the dependence on critical technologies and capacities from outside Europe. So, of course, it's a globalized world. We European industry buy a lot of component technologies from outside the EU. But there are some of these technologies where we depend on non-European sources, are deemed to be particularly critical, and there we want to make an effort to gain more non-dependence or reduce the dependence in areas, especially if there are export restrictions attached to the export, and reducing the availability then for EU industry to these technologies. This would help us to enhance the overall competitiveness of European space industry and to develop and regain European capacity to operate independently in space. The scope is broad, as mentioned here. Priority technology areas are taken from the list of critical technologies that have been established by a task force, a joint task force between Commission, European Space Agency and European Defence Agency. This list contains around 40 technologies, and we have selected 10, 5 in each call topic, to cover in this work program. We could rely on technological spin-in or other collaboration between space and non-space industries, and both industry and research centers and academia, of course. There should be an assessment of commercial viability of the supply chain and critical dependencies of the supply chain. The applicant also has to show that technologies are free of any legal export restrictions or limitations to supply. As an example, I mentioned international traffic and arms regulations, so ITAR regulation of the United States, and also EAR 99. So it's up to the applicants here to show that what they develop will not be restricted in availability because of any such limitations. And the proposal also need to assess the vulnerability of the supply chain. I mean, the project need to assess the vulnerability of the supply chain. So each proposal should address only one area, one technology area, which will be listed on the next slide. We should seek complementarity and synergy with other activities in Europe. Of course, some of these areas are covered also in other parts of the Horizon Europe, such as the ICT program, some joint undertakings as well in Europe. And technical guidance document will be published which is drawn from the Joint Task Force list, which provides a bit more technical detail on each of the technology areas, which I will show now on the next slide. So the technology areas from the Joint Task Force list, developed by European Commission, European Space Agency, and European Defence Agency. So we have 10 topics that we consider particularly urgent and important, also in support of other activities of the European Union. So I will just read them out. RF, radio frequency components, passive and RF passive components, discrete power devices, very high energy ion accelerators for component shielding and radiobiology characterization, replacement solutions for metallic lead, which is a material which is restricted in terms of REACH regulation. And then high performance, cost-effective multi-junction solar cells for space applications, space qualified radio frequency GaN and gallium nitride components and demonstrators, integrated circuits for power applications. So we see here power applications and power devices, which also support an electric propulsion technologies. High challenges for PCB and SMT, so printed circuit board and surface mount technologies. Thermal insulation systems based on aerogels for space. So this, for the non-expert, of course, this list doesn't say much, but the guidance document will provide more detail what these are. It's quite broad areas, of course, and we welcome proposals in each of these areas, but the proposals then need to select one area, obviously. The summary of the specific conditions here, we expect size EU contribution of about 2 to 3 million per project. The indicative budget is 20.8 million in total, but as I mentioned in the work program, they appear as two separate call topics to cover all the 10 areas mentioned on the previous slide. Research projects will be research and innovation actions, and there are limitations to eligibility so that legal entities must be established in member states, Iceland or Norway, or be an international European research organization, or be a candidate associated country where the country has provided assurances concerning the protection of EU's strategic assets, interest, autonomy, or security. Sounds very complicated. More details are given in the work program, but in effect, as I mentioned in previous topic, these assurances will be assessed during July-September, and subject to then a work program amendment before the opening of the call. Further associated countries may become eligible to participate as well. There will be security assessment as part of the proposal evaluation to address any need for classification of deliverables that could be sensitive. The TRL levels here vary because of the different technology areas have different development or at different development stages, but up to TRL 7 for some of these areas by the end of the project. And with 2 to 3 million and 20 million in total funding, 2 to 3 million per project, we foresee up to 8 projects to be funded. Could be less, could be 6 to 8 projects. So this concludes the technology for European non-dependence and competitiveness in the space sector. Finally, we have one more topic on space science and exploration technology, still technology development, but here focusing on science and exploration related applications. The expected outcome is are mentioned here: breakthroughs in technologies and scientific instrumentation for science and exploration missions, to validate new space and planetary robotic technologies and instrumentation through analog tests, that is simulation of extraterrestrial environments here on Earth. Increased collaboration in science and engineering and industrial teams within Europe, but also with outside Europe. So this topic lends itself well to international cooperation, international participation. To strengthen European scientific excellence in general. So these are the expected outcomes. The scope is specified here as twofold, both technology development associated with future space science and exploration missions, robotic exploration technologies, early stage scientific instrumentation, and component technologies for space resource utilization and space observatories. The early stage scientific instrumentation is to allow teams from many countries to come together to develop next generation scientific instruments that will go on future missions, future science missions, for example, not yet decided perhaps in some cases, but only prepared. These are preparations that start a long time in advance. The second area of the scope is on on-site activities such as measurement techniques with increased sensitivity and robustness, faster and more accurate in situ data processing, in situ sample and data analysis. Again, more details in the work program here, but the scope is rather broad and applicants can choose to target any area that they are more interested in within the scope. They don't need to cover everything. We encourage and want to see new innovative approaches, such as instruments for CubeSats, for example, the increased use of COTS, commercial off-the-shelf components. The target here is primarily future European and European-led space science and exploration missions, but could also include international missions where there is a participation of European partners, which is quite common in the space science field. There's a lot of international collaboration. So finally, the table of specific conditions. The expected EU contribution per project is 1 to 1.5 million euro, and with an indicative budget for the topic of 8 million in total, we will hope to fund 5 to 8 projects out of this topic. It's a research and innovation action. The TRL technology readiness level is in the lower end of the scale, 3 to 4 by the end of the project. So this concludes now here the presentation of the topics under the technology development for competitiveness of the space sector. So I thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
So thank you very much for listening in to the last block of topic presentations, which was quite long and interesting and thorough. So we are here to take questions for this last block. And in the meantime, we have one that came in. And this is reading like this. So Mats mentioned the technical guide documents to be published before the opening of different calls. How to be advised properly in times of these publications. Mats, do you want to address this question?
Yes, thank you. I can say, I think it was already mentioned, but these technical guidance documents are published on the funding and tenders portal under the call in question, and they are in several areas, including Copernicus service evolution as well, and in these topics mentioned here. They will be certainly published before the opening of the call, but in most cases published much earlier because many of them are ready or close to be finalized. So they will be put online as soon as possible, basically. So the best advice is to visit the funding and tenders portal and check the availability of these documents every now and then, and certainly around the opening of the call, they should be there.
Okay, thank you very much. So for the moment, we don't have any other questions that came in from Slido. So let me take 30 seconds to remind you that this is the last chance in case you got a question for this last block of presentations given by my colleague Mats Ljungqvist. While we wait for some questions to come in, if there are any, let me take the time to remind you that all the presentations that you listened to today are available on the Information Day website within the Destination 5 space part of the Cluster 4. So those presentations will stay there as a reference. You will be able to consult them, to listen to them once again if you're interested in our topics. So even if you miss some during this long day that lasted basically for 4 hours for the space destination, we know it was quite a long afternoon, but we believe that we gave quite a comprehensive overview of our topics in space, and we hope that you found it useful. You found it useful. So if there are no more questions, I would like to thank all my colleagues for having participated in this long session, for preparing the presentations and for answering your questions. I would also like to thank our technical hosts. The session has worked smoothly today, so we're grateful for that. And last but not least, if you wish to participate in our call for proposals, I would like to wish you good luck for your submissions. And I'm sure there will be further occasions down the road to interact again. And I would like again to thank you for listening in, for tuning in into our Information Day today. Thank you again and stay safe. Goodbye.